I gotta rub my hands together. Gotta get it going. This is it. The fabled New Vegas weapons tier list. We've got 6 tiers. We've got one for S tier, one for A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and bad. Now, we've got to talk about something before we rank a single weapon, and that is how do you even go about ranking weapons in New Vegas, right? So the one option that you could take is you could just look at all the weapons on their wikis and just compare the stats. By that metric, pretty much all the explosives are S tier. Then you've got a bunch of really good guns and energy weapons, and then you've got like the chainsaw, and then everything else is kind of okay. Gotta stay hydrated. But that's like not really like worth it. What I want to do when I rank this is I more so want to talk about how good the weapon is throughout the game. So, something that you might not... It's more so less than just being good when you meet all the requirements. I want to talk about how weapons rank, like, from the start of the game. If you play the game normally, like, you go from Goodsprings down to Prim, to Novak, to Vegas, or if you sequence break and you go out of your way to go get the weapon early, how easy can you do that to just get the weapon? But the list will shape out as we go. First off, we've got boxing tape, which I'm going to use to represent your bare hands. And I think your bare hands are like, okay. You can take your bare hands into casinos. That's pretty good. You get paralyzing palm later on. I mean, that's about it. But paralysis is really good. Next up is the broad machete, which I think is going to go in B tier. If you like just super duper don't want to sequence break or do any cheap things to get any weapons early, the broad machete is a pretty good early melee weapon. Has pretty good condition, does pretty decent damage even without heavy-handed. Can be repaired fairly easily because machetes become really common by the time you get down to Nipton. There's even a machete in the little shack around the giant rad scorpions by the cemetery, so all around a pretty good weapon. But we got to talk about something, right, that's worth considering. Super Slam. All unarmed and melee attacks have a chance of knocking down your opponent. So this is kind of a conversation that we have to have about melee weapons in general on the list. Is, do we count weapons with or without their perks? Because melee weapons are just like strictly worse than ranged weapons if neither have perks. But if they have perks, any melee weapon is like a contender for being at least average because of Super Slam. You can stun lock any enemy with a knife and hit them over and over until the knife breaks. So theoretically, as long as their health pool isn't bigger than the life of your knife, which I don't know, let's just say it's like 100 hits and you do 10 damage, like, as long as they have less than 1,000 health, you win with Super Slam. So you've got to keep that in mind when you rank melee weapons. Just because in the context of the broad machete, you're going to be using it early before you get Super Slam, and it doesn't keep up in damage, and it doesn't have any weird traits to make it keep up, we're just going to put it in B. But it is worth noting that, like, with all melee perks, it's probably better than, like, a few A-rank weapons just because of Super Slam. Throwing spears. You technically get these with the courier stash. I think they're, like, okay. It's kind of hard to boost their damage. You can boost their range, but not their damage. And then you can boost the speed you throw them with the trait, but that's, like, kind of because you have less range, which is the point. If there was, like, a dedicated perk to make thrown weapons, like, melee weapons stronger, maybe they'd be higher, but as it is now, they're, like, rare to obtain, not very good. The best application they have early on is just sneak criticals because of the fact that they count as silent, and they deal a good amount of damage early on, like in Goodsprings. So, like, a good use for these is to silently kill Joe Cobb but other than that, I don't really know at what point you're using these dedicatedly. If you're actually gonna like deal with the hassle of using thrown projectiles, you're gonna use like frag grenades. So I don't know when you would ever use this really. But they have like a niche application, good springs, and they're like decently strong. So they aren't bad. They aren't the worst. Next up is the weathered 10mm, which I actually think is just one slot away from being top tier. The weathered millimeter is just insanely good. It uses an extraordinarily common ammo type. It gets access to professional sneak crits. You can modify it using the laser sight and the silencer, so it makes for a good stealth weapon, even better with professional. The ammo it uses is really common and plentiful, even in the early game, even if you go on the intended path. If you do that and you keep leveling up your guns and taking guns perks and bats perks, this thing actually holds up until like probably about like Black Mountain-ish. Like when you start fighting things like Night Stalkers or Super Mutants. But even then, the hand loader ammo type for 10mm is a hollow point type. I think it's called JFP. So you can get some pretty good damage on unarmed, unarmored opponents. I've got really bad cotton mouth right now. The only reason I'm not putting the weathered 10mm in S tier is because of the fact that it will fall off by like the late game. And you can't sneak it into casinos. For some reason, the weathered 10mm lost its classification as a holdout weapon, even though the normal 10mm is. So because of that, I can't consider it top tier. But if you could use it in casinos and holdout areas, it would be pretty good. Sturdy Caravan Shotgun. Sturdy Caravan Shotgun is really hard to rank. It's the only shotgun that doesn't get access to the shotgun perks. It's not that strong even at the very start of the game. By the time that you get access to more ammo for it, you're probably just using a different shotgun, really. Like, by the time you get reliable ammo for it. And other than that, it's just not that great. Probably rank it. Just because you get it for free at the start of the game, it's probably like... It's probably somewhere in C tier. I think it does slightly more damage, but it also has more spread than the base shotgun, the Caravan Shotgun. It's really weird. The biggest thing holding this back is that you can't do Shotgun Surgeon or and stay back with it. Otherwise, it would be decent because you get Shotgun Surgeon at like level 6, but yeah, the fact that you can't even do that with it, it's really bad. Mercenaries Grenade Rifle, another contender for A tier, for S tier. The reason that I think the Mercenaries Grenade Rifle won't end up there, though, even though I've done full playthroughs that like use the Grenade Rifle and the Mercenaries for a while, is the thing that pushes grenade launchers really good in this game is the fact that you get access to Grunt, which stacks with all your other damage boosting perks. But due to a DLC load order issue, you can't boost the Mercenaries Grenade Rifle by Grunt. Which means that it's just like objectively worse than Thump Thump. But you do have it from the start of the game. That's not that great though if you're playing on the intended path because of the fact that you have to get 40mm grenade ammo, which is a little difficult to do early on. And if you're sequence breaking to go like to the Gunrunners or Hoover Dam or whatever, then you can just go get Thump Thump. So I don't think it's S tier by any means. But the fact that you do just like start off rip with it puts it pretty high. Next up is the 9mm, the gun Doc Mitchell will give you for the early game. It's a very excellent weapon. It's kind of like a broad machete, just good to have. Deals with small enemies, plentiful ammo. Breaks down relatively slowly, easy to find. Later on, it becomes good as repair fodder for jury rigging. But overall, it's not holding up like at all. It gets a scope, but I don't think it even gets a silencer, so I don't know what the point is. You can extend the mags or something, but it's just really weak. You can boost it with Grunt, so early on maybe it's okay, but it's immediately outclassed by the weathered 10mm, which is a kind of a downside. I think we'll actually. The thing is, though, it's like definitely better than the Street Caravan early on. This is the normal 9mm. I don't know that I can put it at the same caliber as weathered 9mm or the Mercenaries. Just because of the fact that actually using it early on, it goes through a lot of ammo. It is pretty common ammo. And maybe it's more so for just tough spots where you need to spray and pray for a little bit instead of using it as a dedicated weapon. But really the only thing holding this thing back is just the fact that the ammo consumption is kind of bad. And if you're gonna, again, anytime that you're gonna break sequence and go like to Vegas or Hoover Dam to get ammo, that immediately brings in the competition of like what else could you be using when you go to do that, right? So it's like the 9mm, I'm just gonna say, is like probably the best so far of these early game weapons, but if you break to go get it, go get something else. Laser pistol. So the laser pistol is hard to rank. If you fully upgrade it, it kind of progresses with you, just because lasers and crits like go get stronger as your build gets stronger. So when you get it initially, it's like probably a little worse than the Sturdy Caravan shotgun if you get it in like Doc Mitchell's house. But like if you buy the GRA version and you mod it, and then you keep getting more and more ammo, you keep upgrading your ammo types to like optimize and overcharge, and you keep getting more and more crit perks, it's gonna get stronger. But it's just really weak. It's like pathetically weak. But I think it'll hold up better than the 9mm will. It just starts off worse. We'll put them right next to each other. Dynamite. So I hate throwing weapons in this game. I mean, I could try and be like a little more like generous to it and say that it just does a lot of damage at the early game, but the radius of dynamite seems really inconsistent. It's really bad in VATS. It just doesn't do that much damage at the beginning of the game. I don't know. I don't enjoy using it, and the few times I've tried to, it's not really done well for me. Takes too long to explode too. At least frag grenades blow up like right away. Knife is bad. It's outclassed immediately by the broad machete. There's no point in the game where you need the knife. Now again, with Super Slam, the knife is like B tier, but the problem is it's immediately outclassed by a weapon in your inventory. That's the bigger problem. Boxing gloves, immediately outclassed by this, but we're going to put them in D tier. The boxing gloves have one niche, which is pacifism. You can knock an enemy away and then run away. Knock an enemy down and then run away. But I don't care too much about that. I don't really value pacifism runs in this game very much, so. Cleaver, immediately outclassed. But it does limb damage, so it's better than this. This is the straight razor. It's immediately outclassed, but it's lighter. Switchblade is the straight razor, but I think it's slightly better because it looks cooler in this little picture. The lead pipe, immediately outclassed, and it weighs a lot. Tire iron is outclassed, weighs a lot, and isn't worth a lot to sell. Police baton is immediately outclassed, but somewhere in between here. At least it's worth a lot when you sell it. Silence 9mm. It's pretty much immediately outclassed by the 9mm, the weathered 10mm. 9mm sub. If you sequence break and go to Vegas, is going to be outclassed by Maria. It's decent on a crit build early on if you play the intended route with hollow points. For instance, you'll pretty much annihilate all the like geckos and bighorners out in the wild, but those aren't tough to beat anyways. It's a sneak-in weapon, so if you sequence break and go straight to Vegas, this might be more useful than, say, the weathered 10mm in that respect, or that. Something also I want you to keep in mind is there's a challenge in the game about using bad weapons to kill Deathclaws, and the Silas 9mm is one of them. So, well, maybe let's not overhype the Silas 22mm. But I think sneaking it in casinos is more valuable than pacifism. 357. It's pretty much immediately outclassed. The problem is you don't get Cowboy until like level 8, and Cowboy also has some strict requirements for most builds because you have to invest in melee and guns, which a lot of people aren't doing. You gotta stay hydrated. I guess you could say that this is useful for reload dashing, but we're not gonna count that. It's like okay. It also reloads individually, so early on it's just a nightmare. You can get rapid reload at level 2, but that means not getting a light touch, or if you're using the light touch Goodsprings exploit, it means not getting Black Widow or Confirmed Bachelor or Intense Training. So Old World Gourmet. Just a lot of problems with it in general. I'm trying hard to think about what the value of the 37 is. The problem is really it's just immediately outclassed. There's like no reason to ever use it in like a run unless you think it's cool, which is something I need to talk about for a sec. If you think a weapon is cool, you should use it. You can beat the game without using a weapon, so you can beat the game using any of this. It's just, why would you use any of this row when this exists? It's the problem. Varmint Rifle. Some people swear up and down the Varmint Rifle is like actually a good sniper at the beginning of the game. I've never found any use for the Varmint Rifle ever. If you want to snipe something with it, the weathered 10mm has so low of spread you can get away with doing that. If you just want like a hipfire weapon, the 10mm is still better. You do get a scope with this. This is one of the first weapons you can get that has a scope, but even then the 9mm has a scope too. So I don't see the value in the Varmint Rifle either. I think it's outclassed even at the beginning. But at least this gets affected by rapid reload immediately. BB gun is really bad. Okay, so the use of the BB gun has no use, but it exists so that the Abilene Kid BB gun is in the game, which we'll get to. But the BB gun is literally a toy. You know what? The BB gun is like unironically like the worst weapon in the game when you get it. Because at least all of these early on can kill like geckos and stuff, but like the BB gun is just awful. Don't use the BB gun. Single shotgun. It is okay. It's better than the Sturdy Caravan. And I suppose in Goodsprings you won't get access to another shotgun, so you might have to use it for a bit. But the second you get another one, you're outclassing it, so... They're like neck and neck. I don't know which one's worse. The biggest problem with the single shotgun is that it sucks eggs in VATS. So when you use VATS, you have to reload your weapon. And reloading a weapon inside of VATS costs additional action points, which means that every time you fire a shot from the single shotgun, it eats up the reload action too by default. So you basically just get like no VATS turns in single shotgun. It's really bad. Ammo is a little scarce at the beginning. Now I know that by the end of the game with the and stay back, single shotgun is really good, but I just think that it's already debatable if it's better than the other gun you get at the beginning of the game. It's not very high, I wouldn't say. There's 2 laser pistols on here. I don't know what we're going to count this one as. We could count it as the missing laser pistol. You know what, honestly, I think we're just going to kind of put this in like this weird tier of like unrankable weapons. We go up. Damn it. What's up with my mouse? My mouse is having a spasm. Plasma pistol. I can't rank this very well. I've used it a little bit, and it seems strictly better than the laser pistol at the start. Still, at the beginning of the game, ammo energy is pretty rare. It's a little annoying to maintain early on. And if you're going to sequence break, we're going to talk about the weapon you'll get instead. So it's not like sequence breaking for ammo matters for the plasma pistol either. If you're going to sequence break for like weapons and stuff, you might as well just go get a plasma defender. So, yeah. But if you play the intended way, then I would put it slightly above the laser pistol, just because by the time the laser pistol is like getting to where it's contending, you know, you would just get a laser rifle or something. Realistically, you can also just, and I mean spoilers, but you can just get a tri-beam in like, I think like 2 hours of playing, even the normal way, where you're just playing in the early game area, so it's not that bad. Not that tough to outclass it, but you know, Goodsprings, maybe if you're not doing Hidden Valley and you're just going down to the outpost, they're about here. Recharger rifle has like a weird utility that I don't think that early on is like invaluable to an energy weapons build, to where you're unironically doing more damage with these two weapons, but you don't have to worry about your ammo management with the recharger rifle as much. But the problem is, it's just so weak. It's good against weak enemies, obviously, but oh boy, it's weak. It's just a weapon you use out of necessity if you don't plan on sequence breaking for ammo. If you do plan on sequence breaking for ammo, it's actually like F tier, but just for those people that like don't want to break the game or the sequence at all. Laser rifle. I think the laser rifle falls into the categories of being outclassed. So the laser rifle is a really good example of like a utility weapon where you can sort of use it in a lot of situations in a lot of ways, and it fulfills multiple roles, but the problem is all of those roles are being done better by other weapons, right? So you can put the scope on it and then it's a sniper, but the Gauss rifle is better. You can try and make it a crit machine by splitting the laser, but then the tri-beam exists. You can try and just use it as a powerful stand-and shoot, but then or you can use it because it's very ammo efficient, but then the MF Hyperbreeder exists. So it's really one of those weapons that like can, if you use max charge, it can actually hold up into the late game, but in general it's probably stronger to use other weapons in its roles instead of trying to compress it all into one weapon. Maybe if you're playing with like Jay Sawyer and you have like no inventory, it's better, but we're talking about the normal game. So it's outclassed because you're probably actually likely to get the tri-beam before you get a laser rifle. But I know that you can occasionally get it in the shop and off of dead Bright Brotherhood members in the Goodsprings Cave, so that's why I put it this early. The problem is, even if you get it this early, it's just outclassed by the tri-beam, like, immediately, so. But it does have that, like, multi-roll compression. I'm going to put it above the recharger rifle. Because it does hold up into the late game, I just don't think there's much value in that. Like, when it's way outclassed by other weapons and what the multiple utilities it has. Now, I have to be honest and admit that I've only ever used a plasma rifle to to act as a Vangraft guard. So, the plasma rifle might just be some peak, and I just might not know it. The plasma rifle seems to be, though. It's just like a less accurate, less, like, perk-boosted laser rifle that does slightly more damage. And that doesn't really seem worth it. Plasma in general is just not really that good in this game, and it's why I've never done a dedicated plasma build, because, like, on paper, there's no reason to use it when lasers are more accurate, get more damage with perks, and then are easier to acquire than plasma, but out of generosity, we're just going to say it's, like, top of D tier. shovel, it's immediately outclassed. But it has like a weird utility thing where you like have to use the shovel to dig up graves. And that gets you Chance's Knife. So, I mean, we could put this wherever I'm going to put Chance's Knife, but I don't know if that's, like, honest. I don't know. I believe it does do more damage than the Broad Machete early on. It's also access to your first... It's also one of the earlier two-handed weapons you'll get, which... Two-handed weapons have a passive bonus of getting double the knockdown chance with Super Slam, so that is actually something. We'll put it above the boxing gloves. Normal 10mm. Worse in every way than the Weathered, except for the fact that you can sneak it into casinos. You get this one on the Gecko Ridge that you're sent to deal with by Barton Thorn. If you play the normal way. So we'll put it like with the laser pistols. Yeah. No, it's just immediately outclassed. But you can sneak it into casinos, so it's like it's like the best F tier. 9 iron. This can first be obtained in the little shack by the Yangtze Memorial. It is better than the shovel if you can get it repaired, but early on that's going to be tough. Benefits from Super Slam earlier on too, which is pretty good. But realistically, you're just not repairing it early on, so it's just very weak and it's going to break very fast. So in a general sense, I would actually say it's probably outclassed by the shovel. And by the time that you're killing Mr. House for a Slave Obeys, you'll have Nephew's Golf Driver. So I'm going to put it above the one-handed weapons. Tri-Beam. So I don't know if this is the GRA version. I'm going to assume this counts both. And the Tri-Beam is our first S-tier weapon. So, gotta get into a lot. But crit builds in this game are absurd. Crit builds are nuts. The Tri-Beam checks for crits 3 times because it shoots 3 lasers. Benefits from energy weapons, which get access to max charge ammo, which is nuts. What else does it do? Extremely good with a VATS build. You get access to Commando. It has a GRA variant, which makes it more ammo efficient, helps the condition, and does something else. I think it adds damage. So, all around, excellent. If you want to get this early on a normal playthrough where you're not like rushing the strip and skipping half the game, you can actually get this in Hidden Valley. All you have to do is fight through the Centaurs, which are not difficult even at early levels. Deal with the Ranger, which again, he's a little tricky, but you've got like the Mercenary's grenade rifle, right? And then you've got to get the weapon from Scorpion Gulch, which if you have Travel Light, you can actually outrun the Scorpions, which is really weird, but it's possible. It's also possible to fight the Scorpions with a combination of Chance's Knife, the Weathered 10mm, and the Mercenary's grenade rifle. I've done this on very hardcore, so I'm not going to take any comments saying that doing Hidden Valley early is impossible or tough. If you want the Tri-Beam early, get the Tri-Beam early. It's really strong. The non-GRA version is extremely easy to get. If you sequence break the game, head to Vegas and gamble, you can get the Tri-Beam GRA from like vendors that have it really easily, and you can usually get the mods with a little bit of luck from the Van Graffs and Gunrunners. Extremely powerful in close range early on. Once you get to where you actually meet the weapon requirements, then you can start using it in VATS. The fact that it's already a little inaccurate means that it's just a close range shotgun early on. But yeah, really, really good weapon. It's essentially like Elijah's Lair, but for the base game, if you don't plan on doing the DLC. Greased Lightning is also technically available as soon as you can buy it from Hidden Valley, which is as early as the Tri-Beam I just mentioned. And Greased Lightning is absolutely an S-tier weapon. Greased Lightning has the fastest attack speed in the game, I'm almost confident that Greased Lightning with no like speed amps, like Rushing Water or Slayer, hits faster than most weapons do with Slayer. Like Greased Lightning just attacks insanely quickly, so you get tons of chances for Super Slam. It's absolutely insane. It's also a black power fist, which is just so cool looking. The only problem is it's like 20,000 caps, but you can get that with gambling money if you want. Available pretty early, and unlike guns and energy weapons and explosives, melee and unarmed, when you don't meet the skill requirements, just attack slower or do less damage. So, unlike the Tri-Beam, which is kind of like you gotta like kind of raise your energy weapons to meet the requirements, you can just pick up Greased Lightning and just get to work. So, I'm actually tempted to put Greased Lightning higher. I think Greased Lightning, for how early you can get it, might have to be higher. No, I think the Tri-Beam is just too much better with perks and all, but the Greased Lightning is really good. I have to rank it very high. You can get the Thermic Lance from the Brotherhood as well, I believe. Thermic Lance is like S tier. The problem with the Thermic Lance more so though is that you actually do have to, I think, become a Brotherhood member to get access to it. Which that actually will take forever, no matter whether you sequence break the game or not. Actually, I don't know if she sells this to you without becoming a member or not, which is kind of making it a little bit hazy. Either way, the Thermic Lance is like better than any other melee weapon except for like the modded chainsaw. It's like the best of the automatic melee weapons. Ignores DT completely, and I believe the Thermic Lance can actually still hit criticals, which is like nuts. It has high weapon requirements, but it also doesn't really matter. We'll put it here, because I'm not sure if it's before or after becoming a full member of the Brotherhood, or if you just get access to it when you go in. I also think this has lower weapon requirements to actually deal how the weapon is supposed to be doing. Similarly, the Brotherhood gives you access to the Ballistic Fist, which I think by the time you ever normally get a Ballistic Fist, and I'm also fairly certain the Ballistic Fist you actually do have to be a member to get, it's usually just outclassed by whatever you're getting, but if you manage to get it early on with a few thousand caps, the sheer earliness that you get it has to put it like nearly this high. But because I think you have to be a member, we'll put it in like A tier, top of A tier. I think the biggest problem with the Ballistic Fist is just that I think it's honestly just that it's usually a little bit expensive to get. You have to be either decently leveled or do a lot prerequisites to get it. I don't know of many locations in the world where it spawns that like aren't tough to get to. Frag grenades. The earliest known place to get these, if I remember right, is Neil Shack by Black Mountain. So I don't like projectiles at all, but I think the frag grenades are at least like somewhere in C tier. They're like pretty powerful. They're boosted by like grunt, which you don't necessarily need to explicitly use explosives to boost. They've got a good attack radius when you throw them, but also they're not going to automatically kill you if you throw them too close. I think I said good damage. Pretty common too, and they make for really good selling items to carry. Not that that counts towards this, but I mean that's something worth considering because they're so light. Because they're so light, you can also carry a ton of them. They're light enough to be affected by Pack Rat, which is pretty cool. The Bladed Gauntlet. I think the earliest one of these available is somewhere in the NCRCF. I think you have to hack Eddie's safe to get it, or pick Eddie's safe to get it. I might have to straight up go get some more water. I drank like that whole bottle of water. I drank a whole 28 fluid ounces of water. Wait, I got another water bottle right here that's half full. You know I keep that MF water on me. The Bladed Gauntlet, if you're playing the game normally and you're not sequence breaking whatsoever, which is a really... It's too easy to sequence break New Vegas, so it's kind of being generous to some of these weapons to keep that in mind. It's a straight upgrade to the Broad Machete. But you've got to put in some real serious legwork to actually get this at Eddie safe, and if you're not doing it then you're going to get like maybe around Prim, and if not there, then like maybe Nipton? All around, you can at least get the Ballistic and Greased Lightning pretty quickly if you're sequence breaking, but the requirements to do this without aren't really worth it, and it doesn't compete with these if you are sequence breaking. The Bladed Gauntlet, I think we're going to put... We're going to put somewhere in C tier. Frag Mines, you get access to these on your way into Prim. I'm just going to be honest and say I don't know what use the Frag Mines really are. I don't get placed explosives in these games, but maybe there's like a secret meta I'm just not aware of where they're like super amazing. But I think they do comparable damage to Dynamite, but you can lead enemies into them instead of having to time your Dynamite, so I'll put them above Dynamite. Cowboy Repeater is pretty good. If you get this early, you can use this pretty much until you get to like a hunting rifle. And you can get this around Prim, so you can use it for a long portion of the game. 357, I'm pretty sure, is a good hand loader type if you get that early on somehow. Which you probably will, because you're raising repair for jury rigging, right? So you'll probably get the hand loader decently early. You can actually mod the Cowboy Repeater, which I didn't know. And then decent condition early on, not that hard to maintain. Pretty plentiful too, so you'll be able to find others to repair it with. Kind of a decent sniper early on. Good for sniping and then switching to like mid-range combat, and then when they're close you can just hip fire it. It's sort of one of those like all types weapons like laser rifle. More specifically, it's just really strong in the early game. But it falls off like way harder than I think the laser rifle does, so I think we'll put it directly below. Sledgehammer. You can get this decently early, but it has high strength requirement. It's way heavier than the shovel. And it's really hard to repair because you don't find that many, so we're going to put it like above the 9 iron. Combat Knife, the earliest you can get one of these is inside of Prim, the Vicky Advanced Casino. And the Combat Knife itself is just a strict upgrade to the Broad Machete. A little bit harder to repair, it's not as common until you get to about Searchlight Novak, but lightweight, has lower strength requirements, faster. I believe even the normal Combat Knife has bonus limb damage, but I could be mistaken. And you'll get it in Prim, so you can just get it there. By the time you get jury rigging, you can pair this with anything, which the earliest I've ever gotten jury rigging was around Nipton, so it's not that bad to use it for that little stretch in between Prim and Nipton and then get jury rigging. I think B tier is fair for the normal Combat Knife. Honestly, the normal Combat Knife is probably more so a niche weapon. I want to say it's comparable to the Broad Machete, but it feels wrong to put the normal Combat Knife over the normal laser rifle. That's the bigger issue. Put this like down here with the Bladed Gauntlet, I think. Brass Knuckles, the moment you get access to them, you have access to Spike Knuckles. Um, you get the spiked knuckles as early as Vicky Advance. Once you tell everyone to or once you save the town, they all leave the casino. You can go and rob them in one of the safes. They are pretty damn good. They are, if you're doing melee weapons, they are a straight upgrade to the broad machete. They do more damage, they're faster, lower requirements, they're lighter. And they have a special advantage where inside of VATS they deal double damage, so low VATS requirements. All around a great weapon. Condition is pretty good. It's not that hard to repair them. There are brass knuckles right next to them, so you can automatically get it to like near full. And they're cheap to repair too, so there's no harm in getting to Mojave Outpost and having him repair them. And they're also decently early, and they'll hold up until like... I would honestly say Spike Knuckles are only really obsoleted when you get like access to like the Power Fist or something. I think they're better than the Bladed Gauntlet if you're playing the normal way, which is a little worth considering. Incinerator you get inside of Prim, the escaped convict leader. However, the normal Incinerator is, I think, all around lacking. I think the argument that you get it as early as Prim keeps it out of the bottom tier, because it's not outclassed by anything when you get it, but you've got very limited ammo. It's very hard to find new ammo, very hard to maintain the weapon, very expensive to maintain the weapon. You've either got to invest weapon repair kits, which are difficult to come by early on, or you've got to go to the Mojave Outpost and spend a lot of caps to repair this. I don't know where you're getting that much flamer ammo. High strength requirements, decent energy weapon skill, not to mention the fact that it's really heavy. All around, it's really difficult to make use of when you get it, even on the intended path. So I'm not going to put it that high. And it's directly outclassed by the Heavy Incinerator and the Flamer, so rip. Lucky. So you can technically have Lucky the moment you get to Prim. Even on a normal playthrough, you can get to like level 6 and just power level your lockpick. And I wouldn't even say that's a bad idea. Lucky is one of the strongest weapons in the game for a crit build. Lucky is absurd with a crit build. You can take care of Death Claws with Lucky on a crit build. Uses 357, one of the most common ammo types. You can buy surplus early on for it really easily with .38. If you're going to use Lucky, you can get rapid reload as early as level 2. Pretty awesome. And good VATS requirements. I think with a VATS build, you can get like 4 shots off with it, which with the VATS crit boost is really amazing. Access to the professional sneak crits, which I believe due to a bug, the professional will just boost every crit a revolver does if you're crouching, but even without that, that just means that any sneak attack crit with this is dealing massive damage, and then from there, you're still probably critting. I think because of how early you can have this, the low weapon requirements, the high ceiling with the crit build, the fact that most of its downsides are counteracted pretty early on, we're going to actually put this, like, I think it's probably better than Greased Lightning. Greased Lightning is competing with other weapons you can get if you sequence break, whereas Lucky is just, like, really good either way. Long Fuse Dynamite? I mean, LOL. Thermic Lance. Not the Thermic Lance, the Arc Welder. So this brings into a really interesting conversation of the next few weapons, which we got to move Red Glare down. You don't get Red Glare for a while. Yeah, you don't get Red Glare for a long time. I was mistaken when I made this, when I organized the weapons. So you can enter Lonesome Road and leave at any level. Now, you can get the first Eyebot that allows you to repair Eddie without fighting any enemies. So I considered the weapons that you can get before that and just walk out with as part of Lonesome Road, but part of the sequence you could normally do, right? Also, we gotta move this down. So the Arc Welder, even if you do that, it's like a worse Incinerator. It's like a slightly better Incinerator. Does like slightly more damage, or slightly comparable damage. No fire damage though, and it uses up electron charge packs instead. Really heavy, not that much damage, not boosted by many perks. I don't get it, but it's like okay. And the H&H Tools gun, which is an automatic gun that shoots nails. The nails have a high crit chance, they ignore some DT, and they are silent, as well as doing bonus limb damage. So, pretty good early on. The problem is nails are limited. You can't find any in the Mojave, but you can convert scrap metal to nails. So if you're willing to give up on making repair kits, you can make nails for this. But giving up on crafting repair kits, if you're not doing the DLC, is actually a big ask. Because of the fact that it has like a high demandment of giving up repair kits, we're going to put it in A tier. But if you give up repair kits and just use Mojave Outpost and Eddie, which you'll get access to from Lonesome Road, Eddie's Daily Repair, this is like an A tier weapon for how early you get it and for how good it is and how good it gets better with perks. Like VATS perks and such. It's pretty good. For how even on the intended path, all you have to do is once you're leaving Prim to go to the outpost, just go west and then enter the divide and then come right back out. It's really good. I still think these three are better though. Normal caravan shotgun strictly outclasses the single. Still not really that good though, even in the early game. 10 mil submachine gun. It's like a strictly worse 9 mil. Because it's like harder to get. Breaks down. Isn't affected by grunt. Something to note. And you'd honestly rather use the weathered 10mm pistol and then the 9mm sub rather than the 9mm pistol and the 10mm sub. But it's not... It is kind of directly outclassed when you get it by the 9mm. And if you sequence break, it's outclassed by Sleepy Time. We'll put it there. The earliest you can get a light machine gun is if you are, I think, level 8 plus. You can get it off of one of the 2 mutants from Jackrabbit Springs. It's not going to be very useful early on. Late game, it is boosted by Grunt. Has really high requirements, I think like 8 strength and like 100 guns. 556 is a good hand loader type. You get access to good armor piercing. And the hand loader makes it so that you have less spread, which is good on this weapon. The bigger issue is just it. By the time you're able to fully use this weapon, it's just probably not that useful, and it's probably outclassed by like Bazaar or Assault Carbine or All American or the minigun. I don't understand the purpose of the light machine gun, because anytime you organically get it, it's just sort of already outclassed. Even early on, I think I'd rather use a 9mm and actually hit what I'm aiming at. Especially considering this thing is like 20 pounds or something. But I guess because you can technically get the ammo for it early on and get it early, and it's affected by Grunt, we'll put it like at the top of D. Heavy Incinerator. You can also get this at Jackrabbit Springs. Directly outclasses the Incinerator. I don't know how high it can go, though, because flame weapons just are not that good in this game. It's not doing much damage. Ever. It's not doing much damage over time, either. You have to get Pyromaniacs to boost it, but Pyromaniac is an explosives perk. Which the problem with that is that means you have to raise explosives and energy weapons to use this. Has high requirements. I think it's like 8 strength. And pretty high energy weapon, too. But I think I'd still rather have it over the Arc Welder early on. This is when you would get the actual normal grenade rifle, and it is immediately outclassed. I don't know what to tell you, I'm sorry. 44 Magnum you can get pretty decently early on. The bigger problem is, I actually think because you would be struggling to meet the weapon requirement of 50 by the time you get it around the outpost, it is a little hard to say that it's good. On top of the fact that if you get lucky, it's just strictly outclassed by lucky. I'd probably rather be using the weathered 10 mil and not struggling to find ammo early on. By the time you get it later into the game, you probably just want the Mysterious Magnum. Or that gun. The argument, I guess, is that it has a scope. But the Hunting Revolver has a scope too, and you get the Hunting Revolver similarly a little bit later, so we'll put it as being mostly outclassed. .556 pistol is one that can be bought, but it's really expensive to buy because it comes in full condition. I don't think it even has mods, but it has bonus critical chance, so it's good for a crit build. If you don't feel like raising your lockpick for lucky, it's a good substitute. And it kind of comes in as like a weapon that's sort of competing with the weathered 10 when you get it. So we're going to put it, I think, above the 9mm. Because it's sort of a weapon that you get that replaces your main gun, but you have to invest a lot of caps into it early on. And I don't think there's much point in doing that, considering that you get this about at the outpost, give or take. And then from there, it's just the walk to Novak before you get that gun. So I'm actually being very generous putting it in B instead of just saying it's outclassed. But you have the 9mm from the start, so. Baseball bat, GRA, you can buy this, and also, where's the normal baseball bat? You get it in Prim, right? Man, this list does not have the baseball bat. Oh, fake fan, huh? Alright, we'll just count them the same either way. Alright, baseball bat. You can upgrade it immediately. What's the lady? The lady with the hat. Lacey. Lacey usually has the mods for this immediately. You can make your baseball bat look like Negan's. You know, pretty epic. Post-apocalypse. Hey. Dude, I'm not feeling this. Dude, I can't think right now. I'm fried. Now I gun pot. I'm just like super sleepy. The neurons in my brain are shutting off. Baseball bat. Early two-handed weapon that has good condition because of the something core. Good damage because of the spikes. It is a two-handed weapon, so that means it gets access to the Super Slam perk of 30%. Good VATS attacks as early as 50. Very lightweight. Easy to repair with jury rigging. This is honestly a decent melee weapon early on. It's better than the shovel, but if you're using melee unarmed, I still think that you're going to be wanting to use this by the time you get it. And if you sequence break, you are definitely using another weapon. Server's rifle is like always pretty bad. Technically it's not outclassed, but I don't know what you're doing with it. The mods are a little hard to find. It uses a decent ammo at least. Guaranteed reward for helping Jackson. I don't know, man. It's so bad they literally had to quietly buff it in a patch so that NCR soldiers would stop getting killed by random enemies. Machete is immediately outclassed, but it does limb damage, I think. The Ripper can be obtained as early as Nipton. Actually obtaining it in Nipton, though, is going to be difficult. You're going to have to kill the entire Legion group. That's not that bad, but the real problem with getting the Ripper through Volpes is Legion hit squads. They are very annoying. This is also probably going to lock you out of getting the Lucky Shades, which are one of the best items in the game. All around, I don't think it's necessarily worth it, but if you are playing on the main path, it's the best melee weapon you get at this point for sure. I think we'll put it, like, below. It's hard to rank just because of how annoying this will make the game, trying to fight Legion hit squads. I think about here is fine. Next up is the Hatchet. You can get this in the Prospector's Den, I believe. Outclassed. It does limb damage. The Chopper. It's a unique melee weapon that you get at the Wolfhorn Ranch. It's better than the normal cleaver. It does the most limb damage out of everything. Has the best crit hits out of everything. But I still think it's outclassed by the Spike Knuckles, the Ripper, and you won't have it for as long as you had the Broad Machete. That gun is S tier. I'm going to put it slightly ahead of Lucky. It's 556 is a good ammo. You can make hand loader with it that decreases spread, increases damage. Armor piercing pierces a lot of ammo or armor. For some reason, the surplus armor ignores DT, so like that's awesome. That gun can be obtained for free if you're willing to lockpick to get into it. It can be obtained for free if you're willing to steal it once you get access to the Come Fly With Me quest and go back to buy the rocket souvenirs. You can get it for less than 1,000 caps if you just buy it. So, very easy to obtain. Not easy to maintain the condition, but it also has good health, so that's not that much of a problem. Gets access to both the Cowboy and Professional perks, just like Lucky. All around, this one will actually hold up into the late game if you just don't use it on like Deathclaws, but it's just for the fact of how early you get it and how easy it is to obtain that I'm going to put it this high. You know what? I think Lucky holds up later than that gun, but early on it's better. MF Hyperbreeder is the best weapon that we have covered so far. And I know that that's a bit of a hot take. It's being put over like one of the best melee weapons, some of the best pistols, the Tri-Beam. But the MF Hyperbreeder, can be pretty legitimately obtained the normal way, just by getting to Novak if you save up your caps. It can be obtained if you sequence break by gambling at the casino, so either way you're getting it decently early. It is just amazing. It like never runs out of ammo. Once you run out of your initial 10 shots, which the MF will recharge its ammo so fast that by the time you shoot the initial 10 shots, it'll have charged back 3 or 4. So you get like 14 or so shots. Then it auto reloads them so fast that you can hold down the trigger and it'll keep auto shooting them. Like, not as fast, but still decently fast. It's a great critical hit weapon because it's a laser weapon, so it gets access to set lasers for fun, laser commander, finesse, better criticals, and it's counted as counted for professional. So sneak crits not only do extra bonus damage for being a sneak crit, they also deal professional bonus damage. It's an automatic, and you can even decrease the spread of the automatic by using run and gun. So it's a great VATS weapon, it's a great spray and pray weapon, it's a great sneak crit weapon, it's an amazing holdout weapon, it's a good late game weapon just due to how powerful its raw crits are when you max out energy weapons and the skill to give it bonus damage. The only reason I don't think it's the best weapon in the game, enough to be put in its own tier, is because it doesn't have synergy with turbo. The recharge on the weapon will take longer during turbo time, which defeats the purpose. But yeah, I can't stress enough the MF is like probably... The MF, if it weren't for its bad synergy with turbo, would actually be in its own tier. That's the only thing keeping the MF like in S tier, and not in like an S plus or like a Z tier, is that it just doesn't work with turbo at all. I believe the MF is one of the few weapons that can be getting to a guaranteed crit level. If you use True Police Stories, the First Recon Beret, and Ulysses' armor with Light Touch, I believe you can actually get this to full crit. But that is a lot of work, and True Police Stories are limited, and you don't want to take Voracious Reader just for that, so... Yeah, but the MF Hyperbreeder is just disgusting. It is ridiculous. Speaking of which, where's the recharger pistol? You can technically have gotten this before in Novak. Which, just for the sheer fact that it's an energy weapon you can spam without worrying about your ammo, it's going to go in A tier. Because you can technically get this as early as, I believe, the Coyote Den north of Nipton. Because you can probably be level 8 by the time you get there, and then from there it's just up to RNG. It's probably better than the H&H toll gun, because you don't have to worry about the ammo for it. That's the only reason this isn't top tier. Paciencia, or... Now, I'm not sure. It's actually... I believe it's Paciencia? Or Paciencia? I'm not sure how to say it. I don't really care. Paciencia is pretty good. 308 rounds. You can get armor piercing for it. That's something. I believe 308 also has hollow point, so it gets to deal with both. Has incredibly good spread. Available decently early. I believe it has a low weapon requirement of only 50 guns, and then just strength. And it deals bonus crit damage and bonus crit chance. So on a crit sniper build, this is like nuts. I've given this to Boone, and it's actually been better on him than the Gobi or the anti-material rifle were. It's available in a fixed location that's pretty doable early on. If you can afford the MF, you can probably afford the Paciencia relatively soon after. If you're sequence breaking, you can go get the caps from Vegas. 308 rounds are pretty plentiful around this point in the game because you start getting access to hunting rifles. It's an all-around incredible weapon. Decently early, amazing, holds up into the late game. Sniper build, VATS build, crits build. The only problem is it's just outclassed later on a little bit, I think. I think someone like Boone can use this better, but for you, you're still going to want to prefer an anti-material rifle in the late game. But like for how early you can get it and the fact that it can compete, I'm going to put this up here. Grenade launcher? Is it this where the... There's another one that's like automatic. What am I thinking of? APW. No, so this one isn't the automatic. This one is 4 rounds and then you pump reload it. That's pretty good. If you're playing the intended method, this outclasses the Mercenary's grenade rifle because it's affected by grunt. If you're skipping order, this is not good because you get thump thump way earlier. So it's like somewhere here. It's like probably better than frag grenades. You know what? The bare hands are too high. Minigun is available inside of Novak, but like you're struggling to get a lot of ammo for it. You're struggling to meet weapon requirements. You're struggling to repair it. You're struggling to carry it. It's like 25 pounds. You're burning through ammo 240 rounds per reload. If you got the light machine gun earlier, I'd honestly say it's outclassed a little bit. Early on, it's outclassed because this is getting boosted by grunt. And the ammo is more common. Yeah, this is just straight up outclassed the moment you get it. And it's like the conditions are so like extraordinary for so little benefit over a weapon like this or some of the automatic weapons that will go higher. Bottle cap mine. The first place I know of that you can get one of these is Ranger Station Charlie. When you come back and the Legion is taking it over, there's one that's set up to be blown up by a rigged shotgun. It's like decently powerful. It's like 300 explosive, but I just don't see the value in placed explosives in this game very much. If you can sneak into an enemy's path, like where they're going to be walking, why are you not just sneaking up with like a 100 power melee weapon and getting a sneak crit, or like the Ranger Sequoia with like a sneak crit, better criticals, professional sneak crit? Like if you're so good at sneaking that you can get a mine somewhere, why not just use those? It's so like unnecessary to use placed explosives. Although the bottle cap mine being one of the strongest placed explosives that you can actually obtain without crafting them, gives it some utility as being used as a placed explosive on a person. So we'll actually put this in D tier, I think. Because it's probably going to kill anyone that you put it on. So we'll put it like above the shovel. We'll put it like above the gloves. Rebar Club. Let's see. I wasn't just wasting time doing that. I'm actually trying to think about where it would go. I don't think it's better than the baseball bat that much. Does slightly more damage for way higher requirements. Here's a good place to go to in this playlist. There we go. It's like the super sledge at home before you get access to it. But realistically, if you can go into the RepCon facility and take care of the super mutants, the Nightkin, you can probably go over to Black Mountain. So just go get a super sledge. I do think that it's slightly better than the baseball bat, but again, the baseball bat has like earned its value by being used until you get the upgrade. Nailboard you get in the same area as the Rebar Club. It's outclassed. Bumper Sword. Oh, actually, you get the Bumper Sword in the same place, don't you? Yeah, so the Rebar Club is just outclassed. You get the Laser RCW in RepCon. Now, it's hard to rank. It's one of the only weapons that uses ECPs. ECP 45. And it's an automatic energy weapon, but the problem is you use up ammo, unlike the MF Hyperbreeder. Yet genuinely outclassed by the MF Hyperbreeder. If you get it, you get the MF Hyperbreeder earlier, and you deal with more issues with the Laser RCW. Damn, that's rough. That's rough. Plasma Defender can be obtained on Brotherhood members as soon as level 8. So you could have theoretically gotten it before RepCon, but there's a few set spawns in RepCon. It's strictly better than the Plasma Pistol, but again, you have it later. But again, it's still fairly early, only level 8, so we'll put it right there. But I don't know why you would use the Defender when you can use MF Hyperbreeder, Pew Pew, Alien Blaster, or other weapons. Hunting Revolver, it's one of these weapons you can get where you can use a scope on it, so I mean that's pretty good, but outclassed by the Ranger Sequoia, outclassed. I'd honestly say that the versatility of that gun and the weathered 10mm is actually better than it when you get it at RepCon. If you're sequence breaking to get it, you can sequence break for better weapons. Put it like down here somewhere. Put it like above. I don't know, we'll put it like below the shotguns. The Liberator, outclassed when you get it. Does hella limb damage though. Sawed-off shotgun, this can always be obtained in Helios 1 inside of a toolbox. Does really good damage up close. Benefits from all the shotgun perks. I really dislike having to use it close quarters, because if I use a gun, I want to like actually shoot distance with it. But up close, man, this thing is like a melee weapon. It's nuts. I'm gonna put it like above the ballistic. Well, no. The sawed-off shotgun is strictly outclassed, but the Big Boomer will go in A tier. It's like, I think the Big Boomer, for being so awful at any distance aside from touching the opponent, means it has to be an S, because it's like, using a gun at that distance instead of a melee weapon can be really annoying with aiming, but that's really it. Man, maybe this just needs to be a top tier. I don't know, we'll come back to it, but it's really good. Because you can knock your opponent down and then walk over and just shoot them while they're on the ground. You ignore a ton of DT with it. Making Magnum rounds is very easy. The hand loader ammo is pretty good. Available really early, available at Old Lady Gibson's. Technically before you get a normal sawed-off shotgun. Managing your ammo between shotgun types is easy, and shotgun ammo becomes more common at this point in the game. Hunting rifle, probably outclassed the moment you get it by Paciencia. It's like a good sniper type. Put it like above the varmint. Rat Slayer. So I've had people swear to me up and down that the Rat Slayer is like amazing. Shout out to Reapy Ron. He thinks the Rat Slayer is like one of the best weapons in the game. I don't really get it. Anytime I've tried to use this, it doesn't one-shot things that I'm shooting from a distance with sneak attack crits. It does get access to 556. I mean, that's good. Decently lightweight, has a scope on it, silenced. So, I mean, all that's pretty good, but it just doesn't do much damage. Is the bigger problem. But, like, let's say that you get an expensive weapon early on and you don't have the money for Paciencia, it actually makes this decent secondary. We'll put it above the Cowboy Repeater. We'll put it below the Cowboy Repeater. You get the Fire Axe instead of Camp Searchlight. And this is the first, like, two-handed melee weapon that, like, actually, like, fucks. But it's also immediately outclassed by its unique counterpart. Knock Knock is like an S tier weapon. Pretty lightweight, pretty low weapon requirements, really good chance to knock enemies down, good critical hit chance, good weapon condition, fairly lightweight. Its VATS attack has a chance to automatically knock an opponent down even without Super Slam. Good VATS efficiency. It's pretty good. The only thing that I think makes it tough is you have to go out of your way to do the Wheel of Fortune quest, which means that you have to make it to Searchlight, talk to Logan, go to Nipton, go to the supply cave, make it into the supply cave, which requires 50 lockpick. Then you have to go back, and then you have to fight through the Rat Scorpion Queen and the ghouls. And then you have to go inside of Searchlight. So it actually is annoying to get, but it is like one of the best melee weapons. We'll put it like actually in A tier. The top of A tier. I think you have a better chance to knock down with this, but this is better in general, I think. Holy Frag Grenades. I don't know how to rank these, to be honest. They are literally just mini nukes, but they are thrown as, like, frag grenades. You can use them to, like, automatically guarantee a death on, like, a pickpocket, I guess. And they deal an insane amount of damage, but you've only got 3 of them. And that's it. Put them, like here. We'll put them, like, here. Hunting shotgun can be obtained as early as going to the nuclear testing site. Trash has one on her position. I don't remember if Trash is a boy or a girl. Boy, hunting shotgun. Man, if hunting shotgun were just affected by the cowboy perk, it would be like one of the best weapons in the game. Actually, let's check. Let's double check. No. Yeah, if it was just affected by cowboy, it would be S tier. I think it's like really close to the top of A tier, though. I'd rather have it than the big boomer. I'd rather have it than the fire axe. Like in a guns build, I'd rather have it more than a fire axe. And while I have been talking about how certain weapon requirements makes getting certain weapons early a pain, like, you can't really snipe with an anti-material rifle at the start of the game, even if you go and get it. Shotguns are good because they spray. So you can just spray and pray and hip fire them anyways. So it doesn't really matter if you bypass getting a shotgun early with weapon requirements, because it's meant to be spray and prayed anyways a little bit. Gets access to and stay back, so it's an automatic contender for S tier. Shotgun Surgeon plus Magnum rounds negates 12 DT. That's pretty incredible. The Hunting Choke gets it to where it decreases the spread, and then Long Barrel gives you, I think, extra ammo, so you can put 8 rounds in there instead of 5, which actually makes the hunting shotgun better than Dinner Bell. Good VATS points usage, I know from experience. It's pretty good early when you get it. In general, I actually think it's still even better than the lever action with Cowboy, even though you can technically get that quicker. It's pretty good. I think the only thing you can get out of S tier is that it's strictly outclassed by another weapon. Tesla beaten prototype. I have no idea why you're using this or how. I've never used the Tesla beaten prototype in my life. Supposedly they make for decent snipers, but the few times I've tried to use Tesla cannons as snipers, they had really bad spread even with steady, and then meeting the strength requirement is a little annoying. I think it's 8. They also use electron charge packs, which are kind of annoying to get. Granted, ammo management on energy weapons isn't bad at all, but it can still be a little annoying to have to go and get energy charge packs instead of microfusion. I just don't know why you're using this. It's also fairly difficult to get unless you use spawn cheesing to make sure the robots don't spawn. But actually getting through the robots to get this early on is a pain. It's more so a collectible than a weapon, but maybe there's like some secret sauce with it I just don't understand. We'll put it like above the incinerator out of generosity. Let's try and group some of these weapons by like how similar they are. Gobi Campaign is like a pretty good sniper until you get the anti-material rifle. I think Patientia is a better all-around weapon. Like, you can actually just hip-fire Patientia at close range and shoot with it in VATS. But I feel like with the Gobi Campaign, this is more so an explicit use it and then switch to another weapon once combat changes type. Extraordinarily good crit chance and damage. So the first sneak attack kills whatever you want, and then when everything else knows you're there, you can just start trying to pick them off and it'll probably work. I think the anti is just better, and I think Patientia is better for mid to close range engagement. So it's really good though. The problem is it needs 100 lockpick to get. You can technically get it the moment you get access to it by going south of Novak, or just not even going to Novak and going straight to Searchlight and Cottonwood Cove. But also needs 75 guns. And it's a sniper too, so it's not one that you're bypassing by spray and praying. It's got decent skill requirements to get access to it, skill requirements to use it. I think putting it this high is like still pretty fair. This is ass. It's outclassed the moment you get it. And you know, arguably, if you're trying to befriend the Legion so that you can get the Lucky Shades, it's a better use of the dog tags to turn them in. Like, low-key, it actually might be detrimental. Machete Gladius is just outclassed. It's like, okay, but seriously, like, just the weapons you can get before this melee weapons are just crazy. Pulse grenades have, like, the small niche that you get them inside of a building. You get them inside of Helios 1 where there's a bunch of robots. So, like, fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. The Zap Glove? Now, is this the Zap Glove or the Paladin Toaster? This is the Zap Glove then. Where is the Paladin Toaster? There it is. You figure this one would be the unique one. It's like more colorful and appealing to a cat. Paladin Toaster you get outside of Helios 1, inside Brockfire. Is it called Brock? No, it's not Brockfire Cave. It is... I don't know what it's called. But it's a location that has 2 super mutants. 3 super mutants. And they're fairly not that bad to kill. Paladin Toaster is a decent melee weapon in general. It's one of the first weapons that I think genuinely competes for the Spike Knuckles, if you got those. It has the special benefit of annihilating the Brotherhood. So maybe if you're trying to rush killing the Brotherhood, it's pretty good. Not that bad weapon requirements, but mostly its special uses for machines. Now, a hidden benefit of the Paladin Toaster is that you can go acquire one right before Helios 1, and then just tear ass through the robots, instead of trying with the Spike Knuckles, but you do you. Technically, you could have gotten a Zap Glove earlier by killing Brotherhood members, so I guess we'll rank it now. Actually, wiping out the Brotherhood at like level 1 is really tough, so I'm not going to say that you did it that way. And I don't know of another way to actually get the Zap Glove. So I'm just going to say that it takes too long to get compared to other melee weapons. This is a Super Sledge, which I believe those super mutants might have. The normal Super Sledge is like competing with Knock Knock. All about power versus speed. Do you want to crit kill the enemy in one shot, or do you want to knock them down and wail on them? It's up to you. Annabelle can be obtained by Black Mountain, and Annabelle is going into S tier. It's a little bit overkill, but with Annabelle, you can almost certainly one-shot anything if you're sniping it. Annabelle works way better with Hobbler than it does with Sniper for VATS. It uses missiles. You can get high explosive missiles, I think, which increases their radius and damage. Benefited from all the explosives perks. Really, the thing about Annabelle is you just got to be very careful not to fire it like even remotely close to you, or you'll just start shredding yourself. I've tried to use Annabelle a lot, and it's real tricky to get the space down with Annabelle. I think realistically, if you've got more than like a 50% chance to hit an opponent's limb in VATS, you probably shouldn't be using Annabelle. It's a good rule of thumb. Any build can use it because its damage is just so jacked up. Black Mountain isn't too difficult to rush by like level 15, 16-ish. Like, by the time you get to Helios, you can pretty organically circle through the Scorpion era, Scorpion Gulch, and then circle around to Black Mountain through the Centaur Pit or Neil Shack. And by that point, you probably have like a follower or two that's like tough enough to help you deal with the super mutants. Not that bad to get. Dealing with the Sniper himself is the toughest part of Black Mountain at a low level. Organically, you're getting this much quicker than Thermic Lance. It's a more generalized weapon that works for a lot of builds. We'll organize it all later, sure. Mysterious Magnum is really good. Not that hard to obtain if you sequence break, go to Vegas, get Talent Pull. Only needs 50 barter. You'll probably get that barter anyways if you're using guns for Pack Rat. Lightweight, good hand loader ammo because it allows you to bypass some DT. Good VATS usage. And you know what? We're putting it in S tier because of the song. The little sound effect. Sniper rifle. I put this later because you probably will run into the sniper's nest before you get access to the sniper rifle. But realistically, you can actually obtain one of these earlier, and you can actually silence it, which actually makes them compete with each other instead of this strictly outclassing it. The only problem with the sniper rifle, in my opinion, is it doesn't do like much damage at all once the first sneak attack critical is off. After that point, it doesn't deal much damage. You've also still got to get to the point where you can actually aim with it, which is pretty steep. Ranger Sequoia is S tier. It's a gun that you can actually build an entire build around using this gun, and you can kill Deathclaws and stuff with it. The bigger problem is it worth it to get one? You have to at least be level 20 to get this if you don't want to kill Hanlon. Not to mention, you've got to actually have the ability to get one without pissing off the NCR. It's really steep to actually get one. Once you do, though, it's monstrous. Boosted by Cowboy, boosted by Professional. Handloader ammo is good, same as 44. It's a monster of a weapon. Good in VATS, too. You can get 4 shots off with it, which is almost a full barrel. It's nuts. The requirements are pretty steep, which I think is in comparison to the other weapons in top tier. So maybe it needs to be like a top of A tier. Just because it's like not that much better than some of these weapons for how much work you have to put in. But I do have a certain affinity for it now that I've used it. It's really addicting to use. It's so fun to like hold it at your hip and just see it. Like run around Call of Duty style with it and just see it out. It makes you feel so awesome. It makes you feel like you have the big iron on your hip, you know what I mean? It's like the Fallout New Vegas weapon. Other than like the anti-material rifle. It's like so incredibly awesome. I'm tempted to put it in S tier, but realistically 45 government ammo is really hard to get. The handloader ammo makes it break down really fast. The ammo is expensive. Repairing this is expensive. Obtaining it's difficult. But it does deal the highest pistol damage in the game. It's not actually that conducive to crits, but crits are monsters on it. And sneak crits, the first sneak crit you get is probably going to kill whatever you're shooting. Unless it's like a Deathclaw. Humble Cudgel is just like outclassed when you get it, like use Knock Knock. Still probably the best out of these though. Gatling Laser, let's go! So, God, I think the Gatling Laser has to be S tier. It has a lot of problems. It's fairly difficult to obtain one unless you sequence break and rush straight to the strip. It's unusable in VATS until you're like level 100 energy weapons and you have good strength. Monstrously devours ammo, so until you're on good terms with the NCR or cons, it's not feasible to use. The normal Gatling Laser has mods that can be annoying to track down in case Gloria doesn't sell them. Getting them can be a pain. Max Charge will also make this weapon break down insanely fast. I think this thing is one of those 10 reload weapons that literally just has no stamina, and it will just break like almost instantly. All that to be said, though, benefits heavily from laser crit builds, and actually spitting out an entire thing of Gatling Laser ammo with laser crits shreds anything, man. This thing can put down Deathclaws without even aiming. It's just hip fire and getting walking forward is enough. It's such a ridiculous weapon. The thing keeping the MF out of like a new tier is that it works bad with turbo. Turboing and then Gatling Lasering an entire squad of Deathclaws or like an entire Legion hit squad is just like one of the best feelings on the planet. The Gatling Laser is just so ridiculous. And I mean, it is an automatic, so you can just hip fire, spray, and pray it early on if you want. If you sequence break to go to Gloria Van Graff, get it. Because she always has a normal one, I believe. You can do that, and then it's not too hard to get access to the armories, but yeah, it's something else, man. It sounded like a toot, but it was actually my shoe. The Gauss Rifle. Getting a normal Gauss Rifle is a little tough, unless you go to Gloria. Meeting the weapon requirements are also stingy, because it's a sniper. You can't use it in VATS due to a bug. Choose their ammo, 5 ammo per shot. You can't upgrade the normal Gauss rifle. We're going to put it below the sniper rifles because it has stricter requirements for, like, being tougher to get, if that makes sense. Pull Q. LOL. Now, is this the shish kebab or Gehenna? Oh, Gehenna is grouped with the other weapons, okay. So the normal shish kebab can be obtained around the fiends, but by that point you can access gunrunners. Put it there. Flamer is similarly accessed around the fiends. Flamer is ass. But technically nothing else is doing what it does. We'll put it like around the heavy incinerator. Neffy's golf driver, outclassed when you get it. But you can use it to kill Mr. House. XD. Chainsaw is pretty good. If you get the GRA variant fully upgraded, it's like slightly better than the Thermic Lance, I think because of crits or something. I think it has better condition than the Thermic Lance with upgrades for sure. And you can get the normal chainsaw much easier than the Thermic Lance. But they're basically competing directly with one another. You know what? Actually, you can get the normal chainsaw easier. We'll bump the Thermic Lance down to about, yeah, this area of weapons. Katana! So, oh boy, I love using the katana, but it's just strictly outclassed. First of all, it's kind of hard to get. It's not, there's no guaranteed spot where a vendor will sell them, so like getting one is actually technically impossible. Like, technically it can be impossible to find a katana. On top of that, all the modifications that make it even like compete with other melee weapons are also random, so you could get a katana and then never upgrade it. Beyond that, it's just strictly outclassed by other melee weapons. One-handed weapons, I think Chance's knife is better. We're going to get to that. For two-handed weapons, I think Knock Knock is better. Oh Baby is definitely better. And like by the time that you're getting the katana, you have access to the other ones. Gehenna is better as a one-handed. But while you watched Weapon Ranking tier list, I studied the sword. The Q35 is available pretty early on if you follow the road to Repcon. That's like the mid-game area. Supposedly it competes with the multi-blast rifle. I have never used plasma because laser weapons strictly outclass plasma weapons except for raw damage per shot. But that doesn't matter when they're worse in every other way. You can get it fairly early. If you're just like sequence breaking and escaping good springs, you can go run and get it like at level 1. I think for that we'll put it like here. I think there's the argument like with shotguns that it's already so inaccurate that the skill requirement doesn't make much to make it much worse. We'll put it like below the recharger pistol, I think. It's pretty fair. The long carabine can be obtained in a similar area of the game where you get access to the Fiends and Camp McCarran. Makes for a good sniper with Cowboy before you get access to the brush gun and trail carbines. Has lower weapon requirements so you can actually snipe with it, but you've got to keep in mind by this point you probably got access to the sniper rifle at 188, Patientia at Novak, Gobi by Cottonwood Cove. Other pistols that you can probably be sniping with Professional. Although getting Professional by this point is unlikely, but you get the point. It's a little wonky. I think in the right playthrough though this is gonna shine. We'll put it like about there. I think yeah, that's pretty fair. This machine is also another weapon that apparently is really popular and beloved, but I never loved. It's like decent at sniping, but not that great. It's like decent at hip firing, but not that great. It's like decent at VATS, but not that great. It's kind of like the laser rifle. We gotta readjust the tier list at some point. The laser rifle is way too low. It's like a laser rifle. But you get it later than the cowboy. And it's outclassed by other weapons when you get it, so we'll put it like below cowboy. But it's a more general purpose use weapon than the Rat Slayer, so we'll put it above it. Time bombs? Dude, it's crazy. I actually didn't know time bombs were in the base game. I thought they were added by the DLC. But you find these in... The first place that I know of to get these is inside of the little thing where you get Caesar's... The Lucky Shades. Caesar's safe house. I believe that Fiends can have these on occasion, which is why they're down here in the Fiend area. They are arguably the worst weapons in the game, because like how would you actually use these in combat? But there is the small argument that because of the extreme time delay, they make for some of the safest weapons to use as pickpocket weapons. Silent 22.7. You can't. I don't think you can sneak these into casinos, can you? I'm not seeing that you can sneak it in. It's not considered an approach holdout weapon. So it's just an automatic weapon that's like sort of outclassed by weapons that you'll get relatively soon to it anyways. Where did we put it? Where did it go? Well, sure it wasn't that important. Pew Pew can be obtained in the Sunset Sarsaparilla thing as long as you have 50 star caps. It's possible to get all the star caps before you leave Novak if you just go and explore the map. Pew Pew is like arguably one of the best weapons in the game for a crit build laser build. I think it's slightly outclassed by MF Hyperbreeder because I think getting 50 star caps is a steeper requirement than 10,000 caps or 11,000 if you have 0 barter. I think it does chew through ammo quite fast. I think it's 10 load, 5 shots per, or 5 ammo per shot. So you fire it pew pew and then you reload. Rapid reload is like necessary for this type of weapon, but it does insane crit damage. It crits often. It's lightweight. It uses energy cells, which is kind of nice if you want to get bulk. Ultimately, I just think getting 50 star caps is a little annoying. I think the Ranger Sequoia is more worth it, but getting the 50 is more annoying, I think. If you're playing organically, Pew Pew is like probably better, but if you're trying explicitly to go out of your way to get it as quickly as possible, getting 50 star caps will feel more annoying than getting to level 20. Put it lower because of that. Fat Man. Okay, so I think Fat Man kind of has to gatekeep S tier. Like, if you're worse than the Fat Man, I don't think you can be S tier, but at the same time, any weapon in S tier is better than the Fat Man. So, the Fat Man is like one of those weapons that defines overkill. I've actually thought about this before, and like the Fat Man is just so ridiculous that like people don't even... They sort of just consider it like a cheat weapon. They don't even think of it as like an actual weapon to like use in the game. They just think, oh, that's the Fat Man. Like, let's not talk about that. That's boring. Yeah, I think one thing to consider is that if the New Vegas speedrun just didn't level speech, the speedrun would change into getting a Fat Man with big yield or high explosive or whatever to deal with Linnaeus. That's like all that would change about the speedrun if speech was taken out, and that's so funny to me. And there are guaranteed locations to find this in the world. You can find it at Quarry Junction, you can find it in Nopa Cave, you can find it in the Cazador Nest Hills behind Brewer's Beer Bootlicking. You can find it in the Cottonwood Crater, I believe. I want to say that's it. Those are the guaranteed spots to find them. You can also buy them from the gun runners, boomers. Ammo's surprisingly not that bad to get. There's a few spots in the overworld that give you mini nukes, and Gunrunner sells them. You can modify the Fat Man. It's like 30 pounds. You can get it down to, I want to say you can get it down to like 7 with heavyweight in the mods. And Tater Tots are the most ridiculous weapon ammo I've ever seen in my life. It turns it into the experimental MRV from Fallout 3. Yeah, Fat Man is overkill. Technically, I think it's better than Esther, because you can get the weight down so low. But I don't really feel like having the argument about which is actually better. Esther has a unique property of giving you DT through your weapon. So if you're doing like a pacifist run, keeping Esther on you and just never unholstering it actually makes a lot of sense. Which is a property that like no other weapon has, as strange as that is. Bozar is like the weirdest weapon in the game to rank. It isn't affected by hardly any perks. It's not really a good sniper despite having a scope. It's not really a good automatic weapon despite firing auto. Its weapon requirements are insanely high. It doesn't benefit from grunt despite being a unique light machine gun because of the load order problem. It's not really a good sniper. It's sort of outclassed as an automatic weapon by like assault carbines and All-American. Sort of outclassed as like a sniper shooter hybrid by the All-American. The only advantage to this is that you can get it at any level, so we'll put it like somewhere in here. It does use a fairly common ammo type, surplus ammo Chuster DT2, so it makes it better as an automatic. It's just a little weird to use all around. I do like how it looks though. I should make a dedicated build to Bozar and try it out one day, but the few times I've tried to use it, it didn't feel good. Felt like it sprayed a lot and that it wasn't very, very powerful. Gehenna is one of the best melee weapons because it's affected by Pyromaniac. Again, Pyromaniac is a bit wonky to use for weapons other than... Well, actually, Pyromaniac's just kind of shit. No explosive weapons or fire types, so... But in combination with Pyromaniac, it does some of the highest damage of the melee weapons in the game. One-handed, so it's really fast, really lightweight, easy to repair because it's one-handed. It means like anything in the game fixes it with jury rigging. It does fire damage over time, and that's something, right? The biggest thing about Gehenna is that you can get it at any point by just going to the gun runners. It's a guaranteed location. We'll put it like, I think around Knock Knock. We'll put it like in this category. Because I think with Pyromaniac, I think I would put it higher than these two. But actually using Pyromaniac is a bit of an ask. Considering that you can just use these. I don't know. Pyromaniac is such an ask on all the weapons because you have to get like 60 explosives, which is like ridiculous. Medicine Stick is one of the best snipers in the game. Available at level 1. Not usable at level 1, but still available. The government ammo helps it with DT, for whatever that's worth. Affected by Cowboy. That's pretty good. You can snipe with it. Good for VATS. It's a good weapon to give Raoul. Not really necessary for this list, but that's a fun detail. 45 gunburn ammo is just kind of limited though. It's always a little annoying to get, or at least expensive to get. It's got a good repair thing, because by the time you're using it, you'll probably have jury rigging. I think honestly, just the fact that it requires 100 guns to accurately use, and as a sniper, it's got heavy competition. I don't know. You can pretty easily hipfire this or use it in close range of VATS though. Maybe the bottom end of S tier is where it needs to go. We'll see as more things get added. Sleepy Time is pretty good. You can buy it from the start of the game. Where are my autos? Yeah, it's like the best auto. You can buy it at the start of the game if you skip to Vegas. Holds up pretty well until you get other weapons that are affected by perks. The ammo, it could be better. It's only hollow point types where it boosts DT but boosts damage too. So that's unfortunate. Ammo is plentiful if you like go to Vegas and then start playing through Goodsprings normally. It's a good stealth weapon. It works well with professional because it gets that first sneak hit and you can just keep spraying in until they're dead. Someone else might not notice. Good holdout weapon. Deals with all the casino problems very good. I just don't think it's that great. It does benefit from being able to be obtained at the Gunrunners early because it is a spray and pray, but it falls off by the end of the game. 12mm. If I'm allowed to be completely honest, I've never used this. There's never been a point where I've needed to use this. Because it's just always seemingly outclassed by other pistols. Either you don't meet the requirement, so it's annoying to use in comparison, like the hunting revolver or whatever, or you meet the requirements, but other weapons are boosted by other perks. I'm pretty sure the only thing the 12mm gets boosted from is professional. But most weapons that you're trying to cheese with the professional also get boosted by like cowboy, or grunt, or like laser types, so it's more annoying to use like that. Anti-material rifle, I think, is top tier. I think you're not hitting with this thing until you're like at least until you meet the requirements, but once you do, you're one-shotting things with sneak attacks. Like you're one-shotting Deathclaws with headshots. You are, if there's an enemy group, you can just attach the explosive ammo, and then there you go, the group is gone. If you want to use it at mid-range, just switch to the explosive rounds. If you want to snipe a Deathclaw, switch to armor piercing. Handloader ammo is extremely good. Actually, good roster of weapons to use jury rigging with. Like, I think you can pair this with varmint rifles. You can get the weight down with mods, with the GRA, and you can get it further down with heavyweight. Pack Rat deals with the ammo weight. It's got a lot holding it down, but at the end of the day, it is one of the strongest pound-for-pound sneak shots in the game. I have, like, shot things with this and seen, like, negative, like, 3+, like, 300+. And that's after chewing through the opponent's entire health pool. Yeah, it's a little generic to say it's this high, but it is, goddamn, it is high. And, thankfully, it does not have a level requirement anymore because of GRA, so you can go to the Vendertron and get it whenever you want. If you plan on figuring out a way to abuse steady, this thing is nuts. And yeah, you can also get incendiary army ammo for it if you want. You can light things on fire with it, which is funny. I don't think I have to make a strong case for it. I think people kind of get that one. Assault Carbine. You can technically get this as early as you want by sneaking to Vendertron. If not, it's a mid-game weapon. 75 guns is like a decent requirement. Full auto, so you can just spray and pray. All of that put together, I think, is going to put it like above Sleepy Time. It's working off of 5mm ammo, which 5mm passively has DT neg, and I'm pretty sure armor piercing is like -25, and that's literally more than Deathclaws have. That's like almost deleting a Brotherhood armor's worth. So 5mm JSP is also pretty good. Battle rifle is just like a worse this machine, but you can sort of get it earlier. Maybe if you get it earlier, it's better than this machine. Put it like above it. But pound for pound, it's just worse, but you can obtain it earlier by buying it instead of getting a Camp McCarran. Brush gun is like a worse medicine stick because it is the base model. Finding a brush gun is going to be more annoying than just getting it from Gunrunners. Then you've also got to still meet the weapon requirements. So I'm just going to say that like by the time you get this in the game, it's probably just strictly outclassed. The base model is. Put it above the hunting rifle. Marksman Carbine. Not impossible to get this early on. Fairly difficult still. The only place I know of to get this guaranteed is the boomers when you go and find the 2 dead inside of the power station, power generator, whatever you call it. 100 guns, and it's semi-auto, so you actually do want to meet the requirement to use it, but the requirement is steep. By the time that you're in the mid to late game getting a weapon like this, though, it's outclassed by its unique counterpart. So we're going to put this back down to about... Where did I put the light machine gun? Oh, that's right, you get it earlier. We'll put this, like, by the minigun, so it's better. I guess I put the vault lower. We'll get to it when we get to it. This is the normal power fist. The normal power fist is a pretty good weapon. If you luck upon it earlier, it might replace your 11 hate. If not, it's probably not. I think you can always get a power fist GRA by skipping and going to the gunrunners at the start of the game, but the problem is if you do that, you have access to Embrace of the Mantis King and Two-Step Goodbye. So, outclassed in that respect, but if you happen upon it by luck and get it as a random spawn earlier on, it's pretty good. Oh, y'all aren't ready for this. Yeah. Very epic, showing off the perk. Does he deal with Quarry Junction itself, or just the hills? Just the hills. Yeah, I think that's enough. Personally, I'm not going to try and convince you further than that. I mean, if you want to go through it, right? Riot Shotgun, technically available very late, right? There's technically one guaranteed location for it in Vault 34. Vault 34 is not impossible to get to. If you don't want to do that, you can wait until level 16 with the Gunrunners. The only thing that I think maybe makes the Riot Shotgun arguably not the best weapon in the game is that the only guaranteed location for it is blocked off by the Overseer, which is a difficult boss. But other than that, it excels in every way. It gets access to Commando and Stay Back, Shotgun Surgeon. The Magnum rounds make it so it's a total of 12 DT it's shredding. You don't care about using it before you meet the weapon requirements because it's sort of going to spread anyways. It's a monster in turbo. It is like a turbo king. And Stay Back is just ridiculous cheese. Riot Shotgun plus Rushing Water is insane. Once you meet the requirements, this is a nuts VATS weapon. It's like 6 shots or something like that crazy if you max out your VATS build. Ammo management is easy. Ammo is plentiful. Converting ammo types is really easy for shotguns. It is the best weapon in the game. But it's the best weapon in the game because it's cheap. If and Stay Back didn't exist, this would probably be like A tier. If and Stay Back didn't exist, it would look more like this probably. It would. But and Stay Back exists, so what are you gonna do? Cho Carbine. It's essentially just like a worse medicine stick, but it's available in a guaranteed spot earlier. It's a lower weapon requirement, more manageable ammo. I believe 44 ammo hand load doesn't reduce your condition faster, so I think that's a plus. You can actually put a scope on it, which is useful. It's affected by Cowboy as well, which means that it'll be useful earlier into the game than the medicine stick probably will. But, I mean, strictly speaking, once you get the medicine stick requirements, it's outclassed. So we'll put it more so in this range. I put it about there, yeah. I think it's competing with the sniper rifle. I think with Cowboy it's like slightly better. And then this is kind of usable outside of VATS. But this actually has a sniper, so... or a silencer, so... Yeah, these four are all interchangeable. Technically, the Gauss rifle is silent, by the way, which is really funny. Nuka Breaker, it's just outclassed when you get it, by the time you get to free side. Why is it on there twice? Oh, wait, that's going to take it off, isn't it? Oh, wait. This is Little Devil, which is the unique 12mm. Similarly to that, it's outclassed, but you can get it earlier. Again, it has high weapon requirements, though, so getting it early might not be that great. Ammo is actually a little annoying to get. I lied. Once you get access to the Great Khans, it's easy, because they both sell like 2,000 plus, but organically, getting access to ammo for this is going to be tough until you do those. Weapon requirements are just crazy. If you're skipping to the strip, I think meeting the weapon requirements for Maria and using that is probably better. Or even just power leveling and using a 50 like a Mysterious Magnum is better if you're going to skip to the strip. Embrace of the Mantis King is one of the few weapons that can reach 100% crit rate. It can technically reach a 98, and then plus there you can boost it with True Police Stories, Boone's Beret, Lucky Shades, DLC armor, stuff like that. It's available as soon as you want to get it if you skip to the strip. Good if you don't. I mean, it's just a good upgrade to your weapons that you would have assembled getting to the strip. Available whenever you want. It does bonus limb damage, so I mean, that's cool. I think we're going to put it like above Grease Lightning. It's probably a better weapon than Grease Lightning because it has more cohesion with a crit build, but we'll organize the tiers if I've got the energy. We'll go through back. What the hell? Oh, this is Cleansing Flame. Where did I put the flamer? It's like slightly better. Sorry, I don't care. Spurt of Wood is just a worse Gatling laser. Technically, it's better than like a base Gatling laser. So like if you buy a Gatling laser that's unmodded, it's better than that. But once you mod the Gatling laser, it's just better. And then this one also shoots out green beams, which is cringe. You can technically get it easier. No, it's easy. It's available at the exact same time. But it ends up, like, capping out worse than that does. We'll put it, like, here. Smitty Special is an automatic plasma caster, which the only thing that I think holds this back from being S tier for how early you can get it is the fact that it just consumes microfusion instead of ECP. Generally, when it comes to converting ammo, you'll get more ECP rounds out of other types than converting anything else to microfusion. So ammo management is annoying even with access to the armories. And the fact that the fact that you can struggle with ammo management on this even with access to the armories is pretty abysmal. Good for VATs, good for crits. Plasma Spaz helps. Sorry to my British followers. I haven't used it much. I bought it and used it for like 10 minutes one time. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. But the fact that it uses microfusion cells is, I think, what's holding it down so much. There's like no energy weapons in A tier, is there? It's like all S or all B. The singular trait of like needing microfusion cells, I think, keeps it out of the top tier. Yeah, let's put it next to Q35. This... Is there like any difference in the model? Oh, it's black. This is the cram opener. It's outclassed even when you get to Freeside, because you have access to Mantis King. But at least you can get it for free. I guess you can get it at Camp McCarran. I mean, that's something, right? Even at Camp McCarran, I think you'd still rather have, like, Spike Knuckles. A rolling pin. XD. No, it's just bad. Outclassed when you get it. You know what the worst thing is? We're actually going to put this as the worst melee weapon. You're not likely to get one until you meet Maleficent Mod in Freeside. Euclid Seafinder. Detrimental. What's a good color? Is it that color? It's blue. Alright. To do this, you have to give up helping the NCR, which is like... You either give up making Arcade happy, the NCR happy, or getting a skill book. So you're literally trading getting a skill book for this weapon. And the weapon is ass. It doesn't kill hardly anything in one shot. The radius is like exponentially small. Like what it shows as the radius doesn't count as the radius. The range is super limited. So useful 1 per day. It's not affected by any skills or any perks, so you can't boost the damage. Sometimes it just bugs out and just doesn't give you any more ammo ever, even if you wait a day. Even if you play for the equivalent of an in-game day, it just won't give you the charge back. All around, it's like 10 pounds too. Yeah, it's ass. Figaro. It's a holdout weapon, I guess. So are other weapons. It's outclassed. Golden gloves have a better knockout chance than the boxing gloves. So if you're doing like a full pacifist build, once you get them, they do outclass them. Maria is available very early as level 2. All you have to do is get Black Widow, kill Benny in his sleep, and steal it. Usable ammo, good crit chance, good VATS requirements, low skill requirements. Like I said, if you sneak to the strip, you can be on the strip in under an hour. Kill Benny by level 2, and if not, if you're not a woman, just running into Benny and completing They Went That Away will give you enough experience to get to 60 speech, and then you can go kill him yourself. Where's the weathered pistol? It's like slightly worse. Also, in that context, it's slightly better because it's a holdout weapon, I believe. At 25. Or a holdout weapon. So I think that, yeah, this will actually help with the other casino quests, which you can also do at a relatively low level, so unlike this. So we'll put it like that. Cattle prod. Apparently it's sort of like the boxing gloves, but it deals too much damage and you can accidentally kill enemies with it, so it's useless for pacifism. The dress cane. This actually does sort of like the pulse grenade have like a weird niche use where if you don't have sneak skill, you might be forced to use it during Beyond the Beef, and in that case it's like fine. Although I'd say actually using it during Beyond the Beef is more useful than the pulse grenades are in Helios 1. If you have Paralyzing Palm though, your bare hands are better than the dress cane. Lever action can be obtained before you ever get into the strip at like level 1 by just running to it. Durable Dance Sat Caravan, you'll find a guaranteed one there. You get affected by Cowboy and Stay Back. It gets affected by Commando. It's a good VATS weapon. Needs rapid reload. Doesn't hold up in power compared to Hunting Shotgun though. But you get access to it way earlier and it can technically be stronger earlier. And you can meet the requirements for it to use it more efficiently earlier. They're both outclassed by the Rack Shotgun, so I'll actually say that I prefer the lever action. Earliest I think you can get the Grenade Machine Gun is technically in the Brotherhood of Steel, although I think you have to be a member for that. You can get them at the Boomers. Other than that, though, you're shit out of luck finding this thing. I'm gonna put it in, like... I don't know where to put this. This is, like, really weird to rank. It's like with these heavy weapons that are just so unnecessary. It's like, what are you doing with the grenade machine gun you're not doing with the APW or Thump Thump? But I think it is the best out of these, like, weird weapons. Vance's 9mm, if you skip to the strip, you're probably getting your speech up anyways, and you can gain access to the Naughty Nightwear. You can pass the 50 speech check to get the gun relatively easily, and get it almost as early as Maria, if not quicker. So, it's like it's like the best out of these, because you meet the requirements for it the easiest, in terms of using the gun and acquiring it, and then from there, it's literally just a better, fully upgraded 9mm. Whereas this, you have to, like, earn the upgrades. Plasma mines. I think these also fall into the niche of being really powerful for, like, pocketing. And they're more common than either, so we'll put them there. YCS is, like, one of the best energy weapons in the game. I think all the energy weapons competing with the YCS are, like, almost all DLC, which is really weird. The YCS, the only problem with the YCS is you have to give up Wild Wasteland to get it, but that's not a big deal. You can just key it in with console commands if you want. Some of the highest crit damage per game, if you get a sneak shot off, technically considered silent, so it's a good sniper. Still not usable in VATS, but I don't care. Excellent turbo user in mid-range. And it's strong enough that it's one of those weapons that it probably doesn't matter if you don't kill every enemy at first. You'll kill them before they get to mid-range and close range. It is disgusting. YCS is one of the strongest contenders to use Meltdown, because if you get a sneak crit off on an enemy and then Meltdown activates, you can literally solo entire camps. Ironically enough, using the Gauss rifle when you're getting the YCS, if you kill one of the weaker ones with Meltdown, you can usually solo the camp. Turn the entire thing into a pile of ash. It's really cool. And you can use the YCS to do that over and over in different areas. If you notice a Legion hit squad is following you, and that you're still hidden somehow, you can pull out the YCS and shoot the one in front, and that'll usually cause a chain reaction, either weaken them or just outright kill them. YCS is so good for sniping. It's one of the only weapons that is literally 100% tied to your aim. Like, if you aim and shoot, it'll just one-to-one shoot where you're aiming. There's no updraft or nothing. It's an insane weapon. You can improve it too with max charge ammo, and it gets ridiculous when you upgrade it. Problem with the multi-blast is that it is, like, probably from what I've used, it feels like a worse tri-beam, and it's harder to get than, like, the Q35. I think it's really just outclassed. I don't know when you're getting this, that you're not getting a different laser, not laser energy weapon that's better. But it is probably the best weapon in this tier. This is Love and Hate. Love and Hate can be obtained relatively early on. Where are these? Yeah, Maria. It's essentially just an explicitly better set of Spike Knuckles, but it's harder to get. If you run past the Cazadors and conserve your chems and healing medicines, and use a Stealth Boy to get a sneak attack off on the Viper Leader, you can kill her, take her armor, and use her armor and Love and Hate to beat the rest of her group to death. From there, Love and Hate break the early game. They allow you to just pummel almost anything to death. You can make short work of giant rats if you get Love and Hate really early. They work really well with crit builds too. Extremely low strength and skill requirements, and even if you don't meet them, they still work excellently because of the early game. They strictly get outclassed, but you actually can bring them into casinos as normal holdout weapons. So, actually, that's a use at every point in the game. Yeah, these are just probably top tier. Love and hate are excellent. The plasma grenades she has, they just make for good kill weapons. Pocket things. That's a bottle cap mine. What is this? Oh, this is C4. C4. Now, C4 does have some niche use because you can intentionally detonate it. Set it as a trap and then detonate it. But again, if you know where an enemy's going to be and you can get there and place it, I feel like you've got better means of dealing with it. But maybe leading enemies to it, because you can specifically control it and you can trigger a chain detonation between this and stuff like mines. And you can also stack multiple C4s in an area. I think gives it the most viable combat use out of these. We'll also move this above this. Chance's knife. Oh, baby. It's a better love and hate. Good for crit builds, lightweight, boost off of grunt and cowboy. Gets access to all the melee perks. You can get it within the moment you leave Doc Mitchell's house. Go to Chet, buy a shovel, go north towards the Cazador things, but go into the hills instead. Drop down into Chance's grave from the mountains above. Pick it up, and then fast travel back to Goodsprings. You don't have to fight a single Cazador to get it. All you need is a shovel. And if your stupid broke ass can't afford a shovel, because you don't want to sell anything the DLC gives you, just do Back in the Saddle until you go clear out the well. Or just go to the well. Goodspring Source has a free shovel for you in full condition. So, I don't want to hear any excuses. Chance's knife is top tier. Arguably, if we're judging these by the utility of like how easy they are to get, how useful they are the moment you get them, how much they improve over the game, this is like probably close to the top two. The problem is just that at the very end game, weapons like these just outclass it so hard. But it's an insane weapon. Combined with Super Slam and the fact that you can upgrade its damage by 50% and then still stack a crit build on top of it, Chance's knife is one of the craziest weapons in the game. It's also a holdout weapon. It's either a holdout or improved holdout weapon, either way. AER-14 is just like outclassed the moment you get it. If you go to Vault, I mean, granted, you can actually fight through Vault 22 pretty easily because you can sneak all the, you can sneak attack all the Spore Carriers before they have a chance to get up, so they're not an issue. And then it's just Mantises, so maybe you can get this early, but I don't know. If you're like going out of your way to do stuff and like break the order, why would you not just get a Tri-Beam from the Silver Rush? That's what it's called, Silver Rush. Yeah, I don't see the point in this really. It doesn't even have like the sniping function that like the normal laser rifle does that like makes it so good. It's also in bad condition when you get it, so early on it's going to be a pain to get back to full. Tri-Beam is better if you get it in Hidden Valley normally. If you're breaking sequence, you can just go to the Silver Rush and buy a GRA version. You can get a Gauss rifle too, so there's nothing this is doing. It's like outclassing. I will say that it's fun to use. Like, I love the little beam it shoots out because it's green. I like it on the normal laser rifle, just not the Gatling laser. It's a very pog weapon to use, but it's not like if we're ranking this tier list like using anything other than how much we like it, there's no reason to use it. The All-American is like one of the better weapons in the game. I actually came around to this just using it recently, but I've never used it until recently, and oh my god, it's so good. It can fire as fast as you can pull the trigger, so if you can just spam the trigger button, it'll shoot automatically, basically. Its VATS usage is ridiculous. I've literally gotten over 10 VATS turns with this. Not to mention, you're probably killing whatever you're hitting, so you'll get Grim Reaper sprint back, and then you can shoot it again. Unlike most semi-autos and autos, it actually does benefit from crits a lot. It's not insane, but it still benefits from crits. Pretty good. Like, a crit hit is still dealing, like, probably more than twice normal damage. High requirement at 100. So, you know. It does work with a scope, so you can actually get off a snipe shot and then switch to just spamming like an auto. Extremely good at that. It's got pretty good range for its VATS. It has amazing synergy with concentrated fire because of the fact that it works in tandem with the 5% boost each shot that's accurate. 556 is a good ammo to get for it. It means you get armor piercing, it means your normal one has less spread, and it means you also... Your surplus, I think, hits through armor too, which is pretty cool. It holds its condition pretty well. So far, the only real issue I found with the All-American is that to get it, you do have to get past the Overseer, which is the same limitation the Riot Shotgun had. And I suppose on top of that, it also has the high weapon requirement, which you can't bypass like the Riot Shotgun. So maybe we'll put it below the MF Hyperbreeder. But these are two weapons that a general guns build can just pick up and start spamming in different situations. It's a good sniper, it's a good like spray and pray, it's a good VATS user, it's excellent. It's really good. Pulse gun is fucking ass. All my homies hate the pulse gun. So okay, look, here's the thing, right? You don't get it, bro. It does good damage against power armor. Power armored enemies are some of the toughest in the game, bro. You don't get it, but like, use a real weapon. Where did I put Paladin Toaster? It actually hits enemies. Oh my god, I'm gonna pull it up. The pulse gun does literally like 3 damage. It's the most unnecessary weapon in the game. The only thing that's like arguably is worthless is like, oh, I'm sorry, it does 5 damage. Just use a real weapon, man. Just use a real weapon. This is a quest item. It's not detrimental because you don't have to choose it, but just use a real weapon, man. Use the AR-14. Use the multi-blast. And if you're gonna use it, the argument is like, well, it's good against robots, so like maybe I'll take you to Big Mountain. Oh boy, wait until we get there, huh? Missile launcher's outclassed. You probably get Annabelle first. .12mm, it's competing with stuff like the Assault Carbine and the other spray and praise because it has the highest requirements and is the hardest to get out of all the autos. Sort of stingy on VATS, not very accurate even when fully upgraded. It gets a silencer for some reason, but you can't sneak it in anywhere. I don't really understand what they were going for with the 12mm, even though I've used it. It doesn't really... It just felt strange, not gonna lie. So, I mean, maybe I'm missing that secret ingredient. Maybe I just don't know the Krabby Patty formula for it. Dinner Bell is like similarly like so fucking impossible to get for what you're actually getting. Where's the sawed-off shotgun? First of all, in a lot of respects, it's actually worse than just an upgraded hunting shotgun. I mean, immediate L. It's after what is arguably the most difficult quest in the game, which is having to kill a ton of giant mantises, giant geckos, giant rat scorpions, giant cazadors, not giant cazadors, night stalkers, and then a deathclaw den, and you have to do all of this, and it's just ridiculous. It's going to take you all over the map too to get the item that you need unless you save every egg you ever get in the game. So that's really annoying as well. And then from there, it has less ammo than its upgraded counterpart, so it's only 5 shots. And it's like, at least the lever action is like available earlier and has less requirements and is like way easier to get. But I like how it looks. I like giving it to Cass as a note. Letting Cass wear it with their default outfit looks really sick. C-57 just ain't worth it, bruh. You got all these other automatic weapons. Even the light machine gun's out of the bottom tier. You gotta go, like, to the very end of the map that's guarded by, like, Blind Deathclaws, Cazadors, Night Stalkers, Lake Clerks. You gotta fight through a bunch of Centaurs, and you're probably gonna get lost fighting the Super Mutants that have, like, a missile launcher. And all for this. It's like a slightly better machine gun, or minigun that holds less ammo. This is the unique dog tag fist. No, this is Recompense of the Fallen. Oh, then you can just get this for free by stealing it whenever you want. It's like over here. This is the one you have to make. So it's also detrimental now that we have a tier for it, because you can just give the dog tags to get Legion fame. Or money from the NCR guy. Abilene Kid is going to go around the long carabine. I'm going to keep this super simple for the video. It does 70 crit damage with a sneak attack that's 140, with better crits that's 210, and I believe it's affected by Cowboy. So 210, it'd go up to roughly a little bit over 260 with a crit. That gets outclassed even to the like mid to late game, not even that long, by just stuff like this. And I'm like, where's the hunting rifle? Did I put the hunting rifle as completely outclassed? Yeah, because you get Pace against you. It really is outclassed when you get it, because it Pace against you, but the argument is that it's like super lightweight and that BBs are like ultra lightweight, so if you just have an opportunity to snipe, you can use explicitly the Abilene Kid to snipe. And I've used it before. You can like one-shot a fire gecko with it. It's funny. But it's like B tier. It's not that great. Alien Blaster's detrimental. Choose the YCS. But by far the best. Now, if you're doing like a mod where you can get both, or you're just hacking it in, it's like okay. Still got limited ammo, so it's not really worth using. It auto crits, but it also has reduced crit damage, so it's not actually as strong as you think. It's built in a way so that any build can pick it up and use it, but an energy weapons build doesn't use it much better than others, which is pretty cringe. Really fun to use. I wish that they just let you buy ammo for it. Then I would actually use it as like a cheap weapon. Like honestly, if they just nerfed it and just made it so that it was like a pew-pew level weapon, I'd prefer that. 25 APW, it's fully automatic grenade rifle type weapon. I'm going to put it at the top of these. I'm going to put it like somewhere in these automatics. I don't know. I've tried using this before and I didn't really get it. It does too low damage per shot to feel like a good explosive weapon. But if you try to spam it, you might blow yourself up. I mean, at least you can use it more than 3 times, right? Yeah, I don't really know how to rank this one. Where would you rank it? Tell me in the comments below. Thump Thump! It's available early, benefits from Grunt. Good, solid, all-around weapon. Problem is, it just doesn't get enough damage to kill Deathclaws and stuff, and it takes forever to reload, so it needs rapid reload too. But it's A tier. You can get it about as early. We'll put it below it though, because you actually start with this. Actually, I think I need to be careful about these. What is this? That's Oh Baby, so this would be on the way to Jacobstown. So this is Pushy. Pushy is weird. I don't know how to rank Pushy. Maybe it's because I need to touch Pushy. And, so Pushy has the unique effect where when you punch something with it, it, like, flies backwards. This is an excellent weapon to give to Veronica. Like, literally the best weapon to give to Veronica for melee. Because it keeps the enemies away from her so that she doesn't get killed as fast. But for you, this is, like, actually annoying because you want to hit the opponent. It's also not a weapon that you can completely freely just go in and get at level 1. You gotta fight Link Lurks, which you gotta be, like, at least decently powerful to do. By the time you get it, too, it's just, like, outclassed. Pushy is honestly gonna go near the bottom in the outclassed tier. Like, maybe if we're just ranking these by raw stats, like, sure, you can do Super Slam. Sure, it's good crits or whatever. But, I mean, just get other weapons that, like, function similarly. Oh, wait. Actually, I forgot. The argument for Pushy is, it's the fastest swinging weapon outside of Greased Lightning. That's like a top tier weapon. But I don't care. All melee weapons get access to Slayer. Oh Baby is top tier. Night Stalkers are not that difficult to kill, even at low levels. You just have to be careful not to get hit. That's the only difficult part. You can probably get Oh Baby by just getting Love and Hate or Embracing the Mantis King or a Chainsaw or something. Running in and getting it. Oh Baby has the highest crit damage possible in the game, I think. Don't quote me on that. But Oh Baby can... Not only does it do like 100 damage per strike, but I'm pretty sure you can stack better criticals and Elijah's Ramblings with Oh Baby. And it literally deal in like ludicrous amounts of damage. Not to mention it's a two-handed weapon, so it gets access to the full 30% knockdown chance of Super Slam. You can compare it with pull clubs or pull cubes by the time you get Jury Rigging. So, Oh Baby is nuts. Fighting invisible Night Stalkers is like, it's a smidge, but it's not 50 caps or level 20. Displacer Glove. It's actually hard to get one of these. I don't know where you get these outside of Caesar. You know what? Pushy's a little... Oh, I gotta be careful what I say. The little knockback from Pushy and the fact that it hits so fast, it gives it like a weird... We'll put it like Ballistic Fist. Like, it's a good argument for a fun weapon to use. High tier. Plasma Caster. Where did I put the Smitty? It's like an objectively worse Smitty that uses... Actually, I'm not sure what the Plasma Caster uses base. What the hell is that? I know this is gonna sound really like nerdish and bad, but I'm literally power scaling the Plasma Caster in game, like, because like anytime that enemies use it on me, it feels really good. It still uses Microfusion, but it's not automatic, so it's more of a VATS weapon. What's the AP cost? 25. Yeah, you're getting a ton of shots off with a VATS build, so it's just not automatic, and in exchange. Well, actually, it's just strictly worse. And it's harder to get than a Smitty special. Okay, it's just outclassed. Well, no, it fires single shot. It fires single shot. So I think we'll keep them next to each other. Mercy is like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'll put respect on Mercy and at least put it at the top of the little explosive trio, but Dude, what situation are you in where you just cannot wait until you get to like the end of Deadwind Cavern to get Mercy? You can get the weapons, you can get normal machine guns elsewhere. The 25 APW sounds like it probably is available way earlier, and like it's an automatic. If you're trying to go for like high explosive damage, Annabelle is better. Fat Man's are better. Thump Thump is more versatile. Not to mention this uses 40mm instead of 25, which is what the grenade rifles use. It's extraordinarily heavy, has some of the highest weapon requirements in the game. It's at the end of Deadwind Cavern, which is like, if you get it, you've already built a build that can take anything. So, it's like one of the least necessary weapons in the game. It's just so bad. Okay, now we gotta talk about the DLC weapons. This is gonna go a lot quicker. But it's also weird. So we were talking about how there's like the niche of a weapon performing well in an environment. The Bare Fist is like the king of that, bro. Bare Fist falls off hard after that, but in Dead Money, Bare Fist is like unironically like a top tier weapon. I think it deserved to go in at least A tier because of how much it shreds Dead Money. Hollow Rifle is good inside of Dead Money and good side of, or outside of good outside as well. You get it for free. Modifications can be found fairly easily. The only one that's difficult is the one that's not on the main path. Hollow Rifle is bugged, so that if you apply the condition mod, it will never degrade in condition, which is really useful. Ammo efficient because it only uses 1 microfusion charge per shot. Once you meet the requirements, it also has that like versatility other weapons have of being like a sniper and a pump action hip fire and like a VATS weapon, but it actually does all of those excellently. Like the Patientia, instead of just sort of being okay at all of them. Why would you use this when you've got the Bear Trap Fist? Bear Trap Fist, Bear Trap Fist, Bear Trap Fist, Bear Trap Fist. Bear Trap Fist of the North Star. Police Pistol has like a weird utility in the DLC of like... Actually, wait. What guns do you get access to in the DLC? This might be the best gun you get in the DLC, actually. It might have to be like here. But even... I guess if you're at a high level, you need to use this, but... It also has the utility of having tons of ammo so that you can shoot radios with it. Which is not a combat action, but whatever. Automatic rifle just has like absolutely insane requirements for like not doing much. It's gonna go above these automatics though because it's in the context of Dead Money. You get this inside of Zion. By that point, you probably have better weapons. You probably have better weapons. You probably have better weapons. This is affected by Grunt. Somehow. Even though it's a DLC item. Well, wait, no, it's because they were introduced in the same DLC. Which means that it's a decent weapon. It's a decent auto. It's like competing with the Assault Carbine. If you do the DLC early, or if you do them at level 1, this is a decent weapon. We'll put it like at the top of here. What are the weapon requirements for a 45? $75. So it's the same as an Assault Carbine. But in the context of the DLC, you're doing it at low level. I think I value it actually less, let's be honest. Well, if you're doing a guns in the DLC, it'd probably be better. It's hard to rank. Oh, it's the Tomahawks. Even more worthless than the base game throwing spears. These things are also... Okay, I've been throwing these in. This is like actually unironically worse than the BB gun. This is awful. The Compliance Regulator has like a weird niche of being able to stun any enemy. Now, you might be wondering why this is going so low when I'm praising melee weapons for having Super Slam. The problem is Super Slam has a chance to proc every time you do damage with something as powerful or as fast as these two weapons, whereas this is dealing no damage just to paralyze them. So it's why these are so low. Survivalist Rifle, from what I understand, it's a very good VATS weapon, and if you plan on using guns through the DLC, it's like probably going to be one of your better weapons. The only problem is it uses a really rare and expensive ammo. If you plan to go straight from Honest Hearts to Old World Blue and you haven't touched the base game, finding ammo for this is going to be really tough. I'll put it like here for the DLC. This is a decent unarmed weapon. And if you're doing unarmed for the DLC only, it's going to outclass the Bear Trap Fist once you get it. But it won't be that great in Old World Blues compared to how this was in Dead Money. Because this is the ghost, this is the Paw of She, whereas the other one is just a Yaoguai Gauntlet, wherever it ended up. Salt Upon Wounds Power Fist, it's just a Power Fist, but it has poison permanently attached to it. It's a comparable weapon to the Paw of She. Actually, I can't even say that because it's going to be immediately outclassed inside of Old World Blues, so it's not even worth it. If you're using guns, this is going to be a weapon that you bring into Old World Blues, but struggle to use because of the limited ammo. I think in the context of doing a DLC only run, the power that the Sonic Emitter has inside of Old World Blues against robots actually does make it worth it. If you're using an energy weapons crit build, you can use this alongside a main weapon and it's just as good. Personally though, I've always found it to be outclassed by the Hollow Rifle. Using the Hollow Rifle has always been better, and then switching to the layer, but I've seen people use it and it actually does have a good performance. K9000. It is a minigun, but it uses the most common ammo in the DLC. Same with Fido. They both basically are the exact same gun, but they use 357 and 44 Magnum rounds, which inside of Old World Blue are very common. You can buy them in bulk from the sink, and you can find them everywhere. So if you're using guns, these are like actual your Old World Blues weapons, not this. And if you're using guns, you have the skill to actually get this when you start it instead of having to find it. So, because even if you do these in the DLC, they're kind of still outclassed. If you're going for a crit build with guns, this is probably your like DLC pick. So put it like here. And then you just like can't use this in the DLC because it's like really limited ammo. It's unfortunate too because I really like the way this thing looks and I love the lore of the Survivalist. It's like an awesome story, but it's just like realistically in the DLC, I don't know how you would use this. I'm not ranking the Sonic Emitters on their own purely for the fact that you can switch between them. I guess technically that means they're all detrimental, right? But I don't care. The X2 antenna is like a super sledge that has bonus damage against robots. If you're using melee weapons, it's pretty good. If you use specifically melee weapons, it's actually peak in the Old World Blues. For specifically the fact that Elijah's Ramblings will make this get a better crit on top of better crit, and then it's dealing EMP damage to all the robots there. The layer is outclassed inside of Old World Blues. Harder to get the layer than it is to get Elijah's layer. Elijah's layer is top tier. If you're doing the DLC only, you'll have access to infinite repair kits, so it doesn't matter that it breaks like an actual plastic toy. Getting ammo inside the DLC isn't that difficult. It's pretty feasible to have a ton of ammo from Honest Hearts. Excellent for a VATS build. Excellent for a crit build. The DPS is insane. Handles, it uses max charge well. It doesn't have insane requirements. It's only 75 as opposed to 100. With steady, you can actually snipe with it, but outside of steady, this is a mid to close range weapon. This stacks really well with meltdown if you do the DLC. Maybe not all the time, because enemies can get too close to you in that DLC. They close distance well. But in like Lonesome Roads especially, you can abuse this with meltdown. I don't think this being in the top tier is too contentious. I think the Hollow Round is a Hollow Rifle is more versatile, but when it comes to laser crits, this is like insane. If we're actually, this is a weapon that, to be honest, if you're doing the DLC first, or if you plan to do the DLC, this becomes like a top tier weapon. I think it's worth specifying. Saturnite Fist immediately outclassed because you convert it. Saturnite Super Fist is pretty good. It's a good all-around melee weapon. Even if you don't have jury rigging yet, because the DLCs are a little weird, you can repair it with Saturnite Fist, or just get new superheated Saturnite Fist out of broken ones, which automatically repairs them. If you plan on getting Pyromaniac, it's insane, which I think we are considering that you do have that, so it'd be insane crit damage. It works in conjunction with other crit builds, just because the crit equals the Pyromaniac, and then that triggers an insane damage stack. Relatively lightweight to just carry as like a background weapon, in case you're fighting like Night Stalkers in a closed space, which is common in Old World Blues. Again, it's a good-ass weapon. It is probably the best sniper rifle, like better than both of these, but the context of the DLC and the fact that you have to manage your ammo and getting 308 is a little difficult there. If you manage to get the 308 rounds from Dead Money, though, this actually jumps up to being like an S tier weapon for a gun build. Oh, you know what? That's fair, actually. Because you would get access to steady and 308 rounds from Dead Money, right? So if you do that, this becomes literally the best weapon. The best gun weapon you can do. Yeah, okay. This is an S tier. Tesla Cannon is outclassed by Elijah's, but Elijah's is ass. Elijah's is really bad. I've used this one explicitly, and it doesn't deal that much damage, and it's not a sniper. I don't know what function this is supposed to serve in like a build. It's just not good. It breaks faster than the layer somehow. I didn't even know that was possible. Proton Axe is outclassed. These are the throwing axes, which are also outclassed. Protonic and Versal Axe is outclassed by the Y antenna, but the throwing axes are actually unique and very powerful. For being thrown weapons, they're pretty good. If you're using melee, these are going to be a good side tool to use against robots. Next, I like this. Although I don't think these can crit, which is why that's so high. So we'll put it like down here. The flare gun is like... It has the niche of scaring off Abomination, so it's like... I've just been playing that for a while. It's useful for pacifism against creatures, but... because it scares off Abominations, but whatever. I don't... The one time I tried to do that, by the way, it didn't work and the Deathclaw killed me, so... salty about that. But I mean, even if it's just pacifism, it's just like... I don't know. It's still outclassed by the Compliance Regulator. Bowie Knife? What other melee weapons do you have access to? No, you've got the antenna. Yeah. Well, no, this is a Lonesome Road, so if you're doing Lonesome Road, you still got the Saturnite Fist. Yeah, no, it's outclassed. Red Glare is outclassed by other explosives. Let me think for a second. What explosives do you get access to in the DLC? You get satchel charges, demolition charges. About it, huh? Okay, you know what? Maybe if you do DLC only, this is like your explosive weapon. But the red glare is really bad. It doesn't deal much damage per shot, to the point to where you'll probably have to unload a magazine to clear a few marked men. You can mod it, but the mods cost like 30k caps, which is difficult to get in the DLC because of how few vendors there are in the DLC. I don't know. Industrial Hand is top tier. One of the strictly best weapons in the game. The reason this is the case is because it has the Thermic Lance property where it completely ignores DT. It deals an insane amount of damage per strike, even if you just tap the strike and get a strike off. And then it continuously checks for those strikes, so it's dealing insane DPS, but it checks for crits each strike, so it can actually chain crits together automatically. It's like the only automatic weapon in the game that can actually build off crits. It's actually strong enough that I think it's like here, but it can't be used in VATS, which is one of unarmed strengths, is that it deals double damage in VATS, so it's like, it's contending for that top tier spot, but it's just a little too weak. Or it suffers from losing one of unarmed's greatest strengths, which is VATS. Shoulder-mounted machine gun. I mean, if we're assuming you're doing the DLC, then you got the automatic rifle, right? Blade of the West is like a replacement melee weapon for the X2 antenna when you get to Lonesome Road, because it's just better as a weapon, and this is better against robots. So this is like up here. Yeah, I think that's fair. Satchel chargers are some of the craziest high damage explosives, and you can actually mass produce them. I'm assuming that you can use them in tandem with like C4. They also have an extremely short time thing. They're actually to the point where I'm actually going to rate them like legitimately as like actual weapons, and say that they're like better than frag grenades in general. Fist of Roar. Fist of Roar is not only one of the best melee weapons, it has a unique property where you can take Roar's Talon inside of Dead Money and then just craft it once you're inside of Dead Money. So if you do Lonesome Road and then Dead Money, this is even better than the Bear Trap Fist. Not to mention, it's just a great unarmed weapon outside of that. That's like actually such a specific property, I actually think it might go higher. Like, invalidating Dead Money at high level is really useful. But I think the Industrial Hand is better in everywhere but Dead Money. Blood Nap is the unique melee weapon from this. Does Blood Nap get affected by... It can't be affected by Cowboy, so it's like probably a little... I don't know what Blood Nap's stats are, to be honest. You get it so late, and it's in one of the most dangerous areas to get. I'm going to go with the healthy idea that it's probably not that great. Old Glory, surprisingly, is a crazy melee weapon. It's like better than Blade of the West. I've experimented with this after getting out of Lonesome Road, and Old Glory is like surprisingly good. The problem is that's the end of the game. If you get Old Glory, what are you using it on? At least Blade of the West gets you through Lonesome Road. I think that's fair. Where's the Bear Trap Fist? There it is. Still at the top. Great Bear Grenade Rifle. It can crit. It do be critting though. Holy fuck, Stewie, I'm critting. It does 15 crit damage. Bonkers. Just get that dump. Although I love how this one looks. It looks like a little toy. I wish I could use it. This is Time Bomb High Yield. Time Bombs already deal enough damage for what they're doing. You don't need this. Ever. And then this is like... I didn't know how to honestly rank these. If I'm just being like completely honest with you, like... Wait, is this Two-Step Goodbye? Oh, we didn't talk about Two-Step Goodbye, did we? Yeah, top tier. You can get it the moment you start the game by going to the casinos and gambling. Low weapon requirements. If you don't want to deal with the drawback, do a low crit build. This is a weapon that functions in tandem with the chainsaw for heavy-handed. It's beautiful. Excellent weapon. With crits, you get access to the explosion damage, which is sort of like a meltdown. But you have the time to run away. It's very cool. Two-step goodbye is a top-tier weapon. These all come crafted from the Mad Bomber perk. So my problem with this is you have to give up a perk point to get these. And maybe they're worth that perk point, but if you're not using mods to get more perks, I think I would rather have access to other perks than these. And even if I wanted to use thrown explosives, I'd just use grenades. You know what I mean? Blade of the East is like actually like so bad. You know what? We were talking about the DLC. You can sneak the missing laser pistol into Dead Money, but that actually won't be considered because you can find a laser pistol in Dead Money. So what's the point? There's no point in sneaking it in. There's a laser pistol in Dead Money. So you can sneak this into casinos though, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, bruh. These are apparently all projectiles. I don't care enough to look them up or pretend like I know what they are. What is this? I can't tell what that is from the little label. But yeah, all these you have to like choose them over other stuff, and I don't think any of them are good enough to justify that. None of these are. Maybe the Alien Blaster. That's why it's at the top. I know that these are the little mini nuke mines, but it's just overkill. Just use bottle cap mines and plasma mines. Yeah, I'm petering out here. This was a long one to make. I specifically went to the trouble of testing like the All-American and Ranger Sequoia, like making a build just for that. Testing the MF Hyperbreeder again. The only thing I haven't tested on this list that I think is like super... I'm really going off of the idea that you can get this to like almost 100% crit. That's really valuable to me. And I have not tested most of the plasma weapons, so I'm going off of my in-game knowledge for that. Just like that I know about them, so. Make sure to comment and tell me why I'm wrong, and I'm not saying that to like dismiss you. I lean very heavily towards like a crit range build, so if I just don't understand the sauce with plasma, tell me. I think this is pretty fair though. This could be organized better, but I'm petering out. I'm like crashing. I drank a lot of caffeine this morning. YCS needs to be pretty high. I think invalidating Dead Money is too valuable for it though. Elijah's Lair is like a better version of the Tri-Beam if you go to the DLC. Mysterious Magnum was better than that gun. Lucky is better than both for a crit build. AMR is like neck and neck with the YCS. It has more versatility, but the YCS is better for explicit crits. Two-step has early utility, which I think is why that gun and Mysterious Magnum and Lucky are all here. But you don't need guns requirements or ammo for this early. And it functions on multiple builds. Same with the chainsaw. Same with this. But this actually depends on a crit build. It's just free. This is more like around medicine stick, yeah. Then Hollow Rifle is just like a better version for the DLC. Christina's like an explicitly better sniper, but it's only in the DLC. Love and Hate can technically be gotten for free, so it's also pretty high. Oh Baby is relatively easy, but you still have to get there. I'd say it's more difficult to get. Annabelle and Gatling Laser are like unnecessary, but they're still really good. Yeah, it's about Tri-Beam in the base game. I think this is perfectly fine. It's like, yeah. And then I don't really care to organize all these. You heard all my thoughts going into it. I don't really hold much strong opinions about these tiers. But yeah, there's just a lot of damn weapons in this game that are outclassed by other weapons that are like doing the exact same thing. Or just available earlier, or slightly different, you know? And I don't really care to go into all that as deep. I already went into all this for 3 hours, man. If you're not happy, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you if you're not happy after all that. Let's delete this. There you go. I don't like projectiles. P for projectiles. There you go. Perfect little tier list. I think I'm happy with this. Before I save it, though, we're going to pull the ultimate rat tactic. I don't know. And we are just going to straight up move all the plasma weapons down there. You know what? I'm too lazy. I don't care. You can argue. Comment about it. Tell me about it. Oh, this is the end of the video, isn't it? I have to say, I'm going to make an outro.